Chat Valorant episode 112. Mimi's really excited as fucking chomps on that bagel.
It's really good.
Hell yeah. Dude, the bagel meta's been taken over. Kurt's been snacking on bagels recently. Dude, I see you in the kitchen, Kurt, whipping it up.
I'm trying to get more protein in my body. More carbs, more protein. Bagels.
By eating bagels?
By eating
Yep.
What's the
Wait,
protein?
There's protein in bagels.
The cream cheese?
Really?
No, yeah, there's like 8 grams of protein in bagels.
What bagels are you eating? Are you eating bagels
Why
with
don't
like
you just eat
fucking
yogurt?
human flesh embedded inside? Yogurt isn't protein either. You guys are actually clueless.
Bagels have
What?
protein in them. Are you
Yogurt
fucking...
does not have protein.
I mean, Kurt,
Yogurt doesn't.
you're the one with the PC. Pull that.
Hold
pull
on.
some facts
Well,
up.
nutrition facts.
There's no way it has a lot, even if it does.
Pull up the nutrition facts. Oh, yeah, also, some Mimi's here.
like you guys gotta eat some fucking nuts
Paul
or
is
something.
here.
Like
And also,
Nuts.
let me
nuts are like a
introduce
great source of protein.
What the fuck are you talking about?
If I don't introduce everyone in the next 10 seconds, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind. I'm gonna lose it. Mimi's here.
Introduce
Paul
us.
is here. You got Kurt in the production room, of course, and special guest, Riot. Yay!
Yay!
All right, Riot. We had to bring in more experts because we're talking about a lot of game changers this week on account of the Game Changers Championship. The first international LAN is coming up just starting next week. So a lot to talk about in regards to that stuff. But before we get there, anything important about the bagels, Kurt, or should we just move on?
Wait, I got
I
something
showed it on
important about my
screen.
bagels.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed
Show
that.
my bagel on screen, please. I want to show off this bagel. It's from a Jewish bakery in my neighborhood, and they make the best bagels. They're really good. I get a sleeve of 4 like twice a week, and I eat them. And they're like just the right amount of firmness and like puffiness. And you put a little whipped cream cheese on there. I got the poppy ones right now. Hopefully, I don't have to take a drug test. So, pretty awesome. Would recommend. Anyway, Game Changers. Maybe we're gonna once and for all change the game. What's the new game?
The game is definitely poised to be changed. 10 Gs. That's not bad actually.
Yeah, it's just a
That's
little
lot of
boost
Gs.
on top of what I normally eat, you know?
Yeah, that's not
Nice.
bad at all.
Mimi's getting jacked right now.
So before we get into the stuff though, important announcement.
Oh,
There's not going to be another episode until November 30th. Breaking news, we're taking a break. Breaking news, because everyone's gone. So that's the TLDR.
Fetch.
No one's here. Either everyone's working at the Game Changers event, or a bunch of people are in Korea for Seth Achilleos' wedding. So no one's around. No episodes. See ya
We're-
on the 30th.
we're not doing the episode
Honestly,
from
no.
the wedding. Not happening.
This is kind of fucked up. You guys aren't going to do an episode from the wedding. We're not going to do an episode
free
from Game
content?
Changer. No free content? I don't get any free content to watch or listen to over the next fucking 2 weeks. What am I supposed to do with my life? I sit in my bedroom and wait 6 days a week for the next Plat Chat Valorant podcast to come out, and 5 days a week for the next Plat Chat Overwatch podcast to come out. And I love it, and I watch it. And if you're gonna take my freedom from me, if you're gonna fucking take my rights from me, I'm gonna cry.
Maybe you've been tuning into the Overwatch League. How were the
I
finals?
love Overwatch. GB was there. He's good at his job. They
Yeah.
had a lot of maps.
What do you think about the team that won?
Yes.
That one character with the right click is really, really good.
Yes.
And there's guys that are really good at him. Or her, I think. I don't know.
Why
which
does he
team
really
won?
tapped into the
It was the one that
Overwatch scene?
no, it was the one that Bren didn't like. Bren liked San Francisco Shock, and the other one won. Dallas Fuel won.
Holy shit.
Oh,
just pop it off.
Mitch was dressed like crazy. He had this crazy jacket and like shirt combo on. It was kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's
all I remember.
That's pretty wild.
Dallas Fuel won. That's what. Yeah.
That's
Didn't they go on like a lower
actual-
bracket run? No, that was San Francisco Shock. Fuck.
Yeah, but I don't know what Brendan wanted Shock to win. If,
Wait, this is a game changer
already
episode?
won
Are we
too
talking
many
about
times.
Overwatch League calling
I
off
don't know.
heroes? that what's going on?
I'm just
That's a
distracted by
topic.
Mitch and his Jack Nicholson Joker looking ass outfit. And also, you know this event meant something to Matt when he wasn't wearing a hoodie for the finals. That's how you know it was a big deal. All right, let's talk about whatever's happening in Valorant. Intro. Big Cypher Changes incoming. Is he meta? You know, as a Cypher playing just fucking nerd, I'm excited I'm excited.
play Cypher?
to this.
I've
Yeah.
only seen you lock Reyna.
That's such an old narrative. That is such an annoying old narrative. That's as ancient as of a narrative as like the teams from Brazil are all really aggressive. That's like that old of a narrative. I mean, get the fuck. Dude, my thing, the new me, the real me.
My
in
bad. I guess
2022.
I had to get reintroduced. Holy
I've
shit.
been nerding on Cypher. That's been my thing. Go on my Smurf and just play Cypher. So I'm excited for these changes. But is he meta? I don't know. Can you pull up all the little lists of all the things? Oh yeah. So this is one of the big ones. This is the tripwire length has gone from 1,000 units to 1,500 units. That's
Which,
a
by
lot
the way, I
more
think just
units.
translates to meter. So it's like about 10 meters to about 15 meters of length. So he's lengthy now, which is
That's a long trip.
an upgrade to the trip.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I would imagine going to be a lot of trips you can put up now that are unbreakable from certain attacker angles that could be extremely frustrating to deal with if you don't have some kind of shock dart lineup or something along those lines, some kind of utility to break them. That seems like a pretty. I think it's.
Wait, what did they just show? That the Sova ult doesn't break it? Shock darts don't break it?
Teammates utility doesn't break it.
Oh, teammates
Okay,
can't
sorry.
break it anymore.
Yeah, only teammates utility doesn't break it. Enemy utility will still break it like normal. So the only changes is the length, the teammate's not breaking it, and the ult now has 2 charges instead of 1 where it pings.
Yeah, 2 pings, right?
Yeah. So extra information on the ult. And I think, did they change the ult to 7 points or am I capping on that one?
No, that's
That's
8 points, but that's fade.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
of. I am capping off a step. I think that this is a good change. I don't think it fundamentally fixes like the reason that a lot of teams don't play this agent because he's
Because
just
it-
super meta and
but
funny
also-
blast pack.
It has nothing to fucking do with Cypher. I mean, it does have something to do with Cypher, but it has everything to do with Chamber.
Yes.
like,
with like how
Yeah.
good Chamber is and also with like how good like raising the meta is right now to just be able to funny on his utility. And also we have Fade, whose cats will still just own tripwires if you're scaling a site like super duper easily. So those disadvantages are still here, but I think if you're playing against the right team, he becomes more viable on maps he's already good on. He's already good on Breeze. I think this makes him better on Breeze. You get more options with the tripwires. I think there's an argument to be made that this could make him viable on Pearl if you're a weirdo and you don't run Chamber on that map. With anchoring towards that B site and kind of filling the Chamber roles, I haven't been able to toy with it yet, but I think you could get like some cross-site trips, some trips to stop like the Neon slide back site and get cheeky with how lengthy it is now, which might be kind of cool. And I think slightly more info on the ult is nice, but not a big change. I think in terms of maps that he wasn't really played on before, like I don't expect to see a big increase in his play. It'll be nice in ranked where like cringe one-off trips get a lot more value. But I think in pro play, maps he's not played a lot on already, like your Sense where you very rarely see him locked in, I think you're still going to very rarely see him locked in because of, like Bala, you said, all the other agents around him. Chamber is still very, very good. Fade and Raze both just own his utility. Like, it's just kind of a tough life for Cypher. But I think this is a change in the right direction. I think he's more viable than he was.
Yeah, I have to say, I actually think the ult change is kind of significant. I think his ult has gone from just so mid to actually pretty useful now, and also just the cast distance increase is so nice. That was the most annoying thing about playing Cypher is when you're trying to cast on a body that's just out of range and you're just spamming the button and he's not throwing the little fucking frisbee. It's so annoying. Yeah, so you don't have to do that anymore, which is sick. And also, the time restriction has been removed, and it pings the enemies twice now with a 4-second delay between the reveals. I think that's pretty good. It definitely becomes more tricky to play around if you're the player actually getting pinged with it as to where you want to reposition
Right.
to, if you're going to reposition at all. Yeah, what do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as if you're one of those teams that likes to play Cypher on, let's say, Breeze. We're gonna probably see some creative things coming out of this, but if you already don't play Cypher, I don't expect people to start playing Cypher because of this. You know, it doesn't feel like it has some nice things, but it's definitely not good enough. And until Chamber gets changed, there's just really no reason to.
I do think with KJ basically kind of like people don't really want to play her with the amount of KO being played and the amount of breach being played recently, like the amount of initiators in general just ramping up and nullifying a lot of what she does. Like those teams might want to lean over towards Cypher. I think there's just such a big difference in like the people who are good at KJ and the people who are good at Cypher. Like it actually does take, like, it's not just, oh, they play the same role. In general, I think you actually do see a lot of skill difference, or at least a lot of output difference in players who swap between the agent. So I could see Cypher taking a little bit more of Killjoy's space, but I still don't see him taking Chamber space right now. And I think most of the stuff that you're going to see is ranked is just a bunch of rage because of kill trips. Because I think this range thing basically enables the regular dude to use kill trips randomly, you know, in a bunch of scenarios where they would have never been able to, because you had to be nerdy about them before. But now with the 1500 length, you could place them anywhere. So everybody and their mom is going to be playing, when they play Cypher, like Steel Heaven setups, you know, where it's just literally a cage and the guy walks into a trip that you had no clue was there and you kill him.
Or opening up Cypher to the common man. Another
I
Riot
think for
Games
sure.
W.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like Cypher definitely hit his cringe cap, and now the cap is loose, and there's far more room to be cringe as a Cypher player now. So it's gonna be enjoyable to play, but so annoying to play against in ranked when there's no teamwork, no comprehensive ability to deal with his setups.
Yeah, we won't see. I'm not saying that we're gonna fucking see a bunch of Cypher one tricks. I mean, maybe you already have those, and they just went to the fucking caves.
Holy shit!
But it still will be a thing, anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he could see more if there's like a map where I'm talking business here. You know me. I'm a businessman. I love business.
I'm a businessman.
So I think there could be an increased market share for this agent on Ascent. Mel was running it during Game Changers and fucking pounding on current Cypher. And I think with teams kind of feeling like I can kind of get countered if they're running KO or Breach, or they're playing like what Giga Initiator comp or something like that. Like maybe more will start to pick up the Cypher instead of that for the teams that have already moved away from Chamber on that map, which I think is a good decision for Ascent. So I think there's room for growth, but I think this isn't like he's going to be meta. It's just he's more viable. Teams who already like Cypher will probably like it more. Smile.
Thanks, Mimi.
I don't know why I needed to add the smile there. I could have just smiled.
Yeah. Well, that would have been weirder. Actually, both options were kind of odd.
It was kind of
Let's talk about
strange
Fade
either way. It was a losing game.
But there's Fade nerfs as well. What?
What? Huh?
Holy shit, dude.
Holy
I mean, actually, like
fuck.
POV.
Ocean's 11.
What is happening?
Nicolas Cage stealing the Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
All right. What were the Fade nerfs? The Prowlers they're kind of slow
Basically,
now.
Prowler changes.
Yeah. Prowlers are off the fucking
They
lean.
last
They're
half a
just
second
so
less.
slow. What do you say,
The
Mimi?
bite takes longer.
Okay.
Sorry, I got a poppy seed in my throat, but they last half a second less. And
Like a
they,
Sova nerf, essentially.
Yeah, similar to the drone nerf. And also her ult is one more pip now. And also the chomp lasts less long, as you can see here.
Gotcha.
And as you can see on the right
wow,
side there, the
that's a
chomp is a
big
lot
difference.
slower, so it's way easier to shoot the prowler while it's chomping you.
That's a huge difference. I did get to test Fade, but
Like, watch how quick it is how much
To
slower it is
leave,
to
yeah.
chomp. That's pretty big.
But also, I mean, the duration is so much faster.
Yeah. Do you think
Like
this?
that's
Like a full
significant.
second
Big
almost.
difference, yeah.
Do you think this mixes things up then, Bala?
Hell no. No. It's what it does do is make this less annoying to play against in general, because there were so many rounds where you just util dump late with double prowler, and it was so busted because those prowlers, not only was the hitbox fucked up, but they the near sight lasted forever. I think that will get a little less annoying to play against, but beyond that, Fade is still very good. I mean, a lot of this, maybe it'll reduce viability on some of the maps, like maybe like Pearl, where the long range prowler down B long is not as good. But most places you're using it to clear short corridors, and even if not, you could just give it the Sova treatment and put yourself in a position further up to use the prowler. So it's not that big of a deal.
I think
It's a good nerf though.
Yeah. I think the only common Fade cat this hurts is I'm trying to think if there's any others besides that B long clear on Pearl, because people will do the one where they go back pillar and clear around into the cubby. I don't think that'll work anymore.
The instant A Haven short.
Sure. But that one already couldn't make it too deep unless they were peeking.
No, yeah, but you can't throw it instantly.
You can't do it throw it from barrier. Yeah, you have to actually cross already.
And that that puts you susceptible to season aids or stuns or whatever. So it's not as viable anymore. There's a lot. There's actually a lot, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, that all makes sense to me. Yeah, it's a nice nerf. Nice to. I think it's especially it's just gonna be nice if you're playing against it. It's not as annoying, but yeah, not enough to bring her out of the meta or anything. All right, next up, T1's 5th player is legendary Overwatch player Carpe. Mimi,
Like the fish?
let me throw this to you, since you have such a boundless well of knowledge when it comes to the Overwatch scene. I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
have a
let
wealth
you take
of
the
knowledge.
lead.
Okay. Carpe Overwatch League. Okay, so
What does the wiki say?
Lee Jae-hyung, I'm sorry if I said his name wrong, better known by his online alias Carpe, is a South Korean professional Overwatch player who currently plays with the Philly Fusion. I live there, that's pretty cool. Prior to the Owl's inception, he played for BK Stars, Selfless Gaming, and FaZe Clan. He's been playing Overwatch League since 2016. In his early life, he grew up in Daejeon, South Korea. His mother was a kindergarten teacher, and his father a follower of Won Buddhism, were out of the home often, and Lee would often go to school where his mother taught at after he was done with class. In 1st grade, he played StarCraft after seeing a teaching assistant at his mother's school playing it. He became very competitive with every video game he played from thereafter, causing concern from his mother and father. His mother and father placed Lee into speed skating in elementary school in an effort to give him physical
like
activity
speed
away
running?
from a computer screen. Speed
Wow.
skating.
What
Yeah.
game did he speed skate?
Thank you, Mimi.
Like
Oh my
real life
God.
speed skating.
Oh
Real
my
life speed
God.
skating. He's an Owl World Star, a 3-time Owl All-Star, and an OWWC champion. So sounds like a pretty good player.
Okay, now what that doesn't tell you, if you check the editors on that wiki page, you're not going to see Connor Avast Prince's name. But if he were there, if he were editing that wiki page, I'm just gonna parrot what Connor says, because I don't know. I don't know enough about Overwatch League except for Seagull, XQC, and the DJ Khaled performance. But and also I know that the Philadelphia Fusion always came in 2nd place,
Yes.
and Carpe, according to Avast, is currently just a certified fucking bag getter. He just somehow finds a way to keep collecting the checks. That is kind of what Connor was getting at on the previous episode. And I guess at the moment, as of recent, he wasn't great in Owl, and he wasn't starting anymore. I think I'm correct on all this. Yeah, I mean, do you know, Dan?
Yeah, so I follow Carpe for a long time, and I mean, he's been in Philly Fusion for a long time. Like, everything that he did, it was great. He was always one of the best players. I think even still, people think of him as one of the best players out there. I know his Cassidy was really good. His Tracer was really good. I think in general, the DPS. So I got really excited when I saw the announcement I haven't followed him too much recently. Like, I don't know if he's like streaming Valorant. I don't know what's happening. That was a complete surprise. But I think it's really cool because you can see how into the game he got when he was playing Overwatch. I mean, he was in Fusion since 2017, so he's been there for a while, and you usually do see changes. But I don't know. I'm just happy with this, especially because with the rest of the roster is gonna be Saya player as well. So that's 2 Overwatch players, and I'm just set. I'm happy. This
Munchkin
team
too.
1 went from a team, like, in my opinion, that was kind of like, okay, like there's a team that I want to keep an eye on, to like, I gotta watch this team.
This
Yeah.
guy's nuts.
It
He's
is
really
the-
good.
Oh, I mean, if you can aim in Overwatch, you're a god because the movement in this game is terrible. There's no acceleration or deceleration. Everyone just moves. It's wild. If you can hit scan in Overwatch, you're just demonic because the game isn't good. with the movement, there are other parts of the game that I like, but the movement is not good. Why is there no acceleration or deceleration? But it has bred a generation of hit scan gods. But that being said, I am personally, and it's kind of where I want to take the topic. I am skeptical of anyone who has not played competitive Valorant joining a top competitive Valorant team at this point into the game.
But it's Carpe.
I'm very
Okay.
skeptical. Do you share that sentiment, Paula?
I don't know anything about this guy. I'm gonna say a lot of the Overwatch players that came over, cool people and pretty good at the game, but only very few of them have been like massively successful in the long term. You know what I mean? I don't know. No, I have no clue.
I'm interested
believe
in how the roles will work for this team, because presumably you have like 50 former Overwatch like sniper players on the team, right? Because Saya was a Widow player. This guy looks like a Widow player from that montage we're
Yeah, he
looking at.
was.
What did Munchkin play in Overwatch? He hasn't really played
know.
Valorant much either. Like
Winston.
T1's just a massive question mark. Like T1 is like flip the dice. They're either gonna be like giga insane or fundamentally not have an idea of how to play Valorant and just troll. But either way, they'll probably be really fun to watch. And I think there's potential for them to be really good because these players are all really strong mechanically. So could be cool.
Yeah, it'll definitely be entertaining. It'll definitely be entertaining.
I'm a little scared that the T1's kind of going into the same. This is now the second like random Overwatch pro that they're like, hey, you're kind of coming over to Valorant now. What was it Ans before? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ans and then
He was
Saya
on the
before
academy
that, or
team.
Spider.
Yeah,
time.
they keep doing this thing, and then also like they have like basically 5 duelists on their team now. I would assume like it's fucking wild. It reminds me of the shit where they're just putting together the iBuyPower players from CS who haven't played in years, and
Yeah.
but it's not cohesive and it doesn't make any sense, which is really really weird to me because I think Autumn has had a good track record so far in this game. So either he has some crazy master plan or T1 is overstepping and not actually allowing him to build the team, because that's the things that I'm seeing.
Could you pull up that tweet again, Kurt, from Avast? I'd like to read that out loud for the audio listeners. I guess that was. I mean, I'm just parroting Avast's point of view here, but Avast responded to the Carpe joining. He said, "If this is true, the jokes about Carpe being in Tucker's will are in fact not jokes."
Tucker, by the way, is the T1 CEO, big T1 guy. I
Yep.
think, right?
Yeah, Mr. T1. Or like Mr. T1's nephew. Something like that.
Isn't he like
Something.
the NBC Telecom like heir or something like that? And now he's like in charge of the gaming division. Sorry, I know I talk a lot of business, but I don't know this business, unfortunately.
I miss grassroots Mimi. Or she sat down in the boardroom
I
table
changed.
with a pantsuit on. All right. Well, let's move on. What is next?
I'm gonna start dressing like
what are we
Hillary
talking
Clinton
about,
on broadcast.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said I'm gonna start dressing like Hillary Clinton. It's over.
That'd be
I'm buying the
awesome.
pantsuit.
That'd be sick. I'd be here for it.
I believe in the potential of Carpe. I'm with Dan. If you can play Widow at a high level in Overwatch, you can do anything
He's
in
good.
gaming.
Yep.
I'm saying like he's one of the best players that Overwatch League has had. Now I don't know how much Valorant he's been playing. That is my only concern because I don't know like exactly what you guys were saying how the roles are gonna look. But I feel like it's not gonna be that troll at least, and that's good enough for me. From like Overwatch players going to Valorant like so late, it's been like a long time, and Carpe just making this decision. I think, yeah, I think I'm excited for the team, and the team definitely really catches my interest compared to what it was before. So.
Gotcha. Yeah.
When I put it in the context of like Patapan or something like that, like I was mostly thinking NA Overwatch transports, but Patapan was fucking is nasty, and I'm scared for
Patapan,
whoever
Baby
he has
Bay.
to play against. Yeah, Baby Bay is the one I was mostly thinking of. Corey as well.
Yeah.
And Carpe is better than all of them. Oh, maybe not Patapan, but
Even Boostio was insane. I think Boostio is
Yeah.
just an Overwatch content creator as well. Like a
Derek?
lot of the converts kind of Derek Overwatch.
They're all
that guy's
good.
nuts.
They're all good.
Well, all the
Overwatch,
good ones are good.
Overwatch is, in my opinion, a terrible game. But if you are good at DPS in that game, you are a fucking god. It's so hard to do anything as DPS. You just have to aim at these like little weird ass
You guys,
hitboxes that
y'all
just
are
shift
fucking
around.
Biased, bro. I've seen so many fucking Quake pros.
Quake
and
Quake
shit
is
like
so
that
much
come into-
easier than Overwatch. I'm a boomer and I'll say that. Quake is so fucking easy. Yes. It's so
Producer,
fucking
stop
easy.
talking.
I am a
Stop talking,
32-year-old boomer and Quake is easy.
Voice of God, stop talking.
Here.
Really?
No. Let me finish. I'll say it. I'll say this. I'll
No!
retain my boomer integrity. Quake is a
Cooler, so
great
mad.
game. It's a great game. Overwatch is a dog shit game. Overwatch is a harder game.
Why are we just slandering Overwatch? Overwatch made you, Kurt. Aren't you thankful for it?
Oh my
Hate
God.
you. Oh god, dude. Fucking Cooler's so mad right now. Pissed.
Blizzard's gonna fucking DDoS our stream if we keep saying this. Next topic.
This is how we finally get CIS engaged with Valorant. We just shit on Quake. Finally. What are we talking about next? Fucking Russell Westbrook or something?
Yeah.
Tanking the Lakers. What's going on here? All right. Does Ye deserve Esports Player of the Year? Who's this competition?
Yes.
Who
Next
is there a
question.
list? Is there an official list we can look at?
No.
No shit.
Yeah, there is
I
one.
guess I'll just have to guess.
pull
Who
it
else is
up?
on there? Like Device or something? Yay, Twist,
Device.
Simple. I don't know.
What a
Dude, who else
Womday.
is on there? Fucking Mr. Savage. I don't know who that guy is. Shao. Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah, okay. Yay, Chovy, Faith Beyond, Cyber, Twists, Shao, Odome.
Odoamne.
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 You guys are more cultured than me.
Odoamne.
Such a fucking Texan. Maru, Simple, Yatoro, and his Watson. All right, I'm gonna keep it a stack. I know 4 of these guys. Does anybody know more than 4?
I know
I only know
five.
4.
6. Oh, 7. I know Watson.
7?
He's
Who
an
do you
Apex
know?
player, right? Yay, Shao, Twist, Simple. Chovy is a League of Legends player. Odoamne is a League of Legends player. Maru is a StarCraft player. Maybe it's not the same Maru. And Watson is a Apex player.
You know,
I bet you one of these guys is a Dota player. Maybe
Yeah,
Chovy's
probably.
actually a Dota player. I don't fucking know. But
I think
also don't
Chovy's
care.
a league player.
Yeah, I think so. Too.
Wasn't he playing in the final?
Yeah, I think he's on T1.
Isn't he on T1? Like, I think he just is. Okay. First of all, presented by Raid Shadow Legends. That's awesome. Shout out to the Esports Awards.
Esports awards are so fucking industry. Oh my god.
I think every one of the awards is presented by a sponsor. It's so
Oh, yeah.
fucking funny.
They're
Well,
all
that's-
presented
yeah.
by a sponsor, and then the last one is the Sponsor of the Year award, and then they give the award to the sponsors. It's craziness.
I don't know how people take award shows seriously. Like, they're just so inherently funny to me. Like, I don't know why. They're just so
Are you
funny.
going?
It's just like,
Didn't you get
no, I'm
nominated?
not going. I did, but I'm not going.
God,
I'm
you're
not going.
Everybody, Mimi's still holding on to those grassroots.
I'm 20. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go spend a weekend on my own dime in Las Vegas at 20 years old when I cannot drink or gamble. That sounds like the worst
That's
weekend
actually-
of all
yeah,
time.
that's actually
That
facts.
actually sounds
That's actually
terrible. No offense, Esports Awards, but
Yes,
I'll
the
pass.
Desk Analyst of the Year, presented by AIM
Presented by
Lab.
AIM Lab.
There,
Yeah, I hit
there
some
you
nasty
are.
flicks.
Wait, where
No.
are you? I see Ally
middle.
Cat. Oh, yeah, and Evil Cat.
I rebranded. I'm
Wait,
the one on
what?
the right.
There's two oh.
That's like I could be your angel or your devil.
We got Johnny in there as well. Shout out to Plat chat.
Johnny's in
Shout out
there.
to Johnny.
Johnny from
Yeah.
Plat,
Deserving
Let's go. That's a
nominee.
W.
Vote for Evil Cat or Reinforce or else.
Ace.
Yeah. Or
You're not
Yeah,
a true
okay.
Plat
Esports
chat fan.
Awards-
Josh is on there too.
Sign up with
No,
multiple
Josh
emails.
got trolled.
No,
Josh
Pimp.
actually got robbed. Oh. What? Pimp? What?
God, that Jesus Christ. Okay, does Ye deserve the award? I'm gonna say
Yes.
yeah, because who are the other guys again? Okay, you got you got Ye. God, I just don't. Twists is Twist is who's he on? Liquid?
I don't know why Twist.
FaZe.
Yeah,
FaZe.
he's on FaZe, and they
Phase-
made a
oh, they
significant
won
amount of
the
finals.
thing.
Yeah.
But then they just got knocked out of this major, so fuck it, dude. Like,
Okay, and Simple. Navi aren't doing that well, right?
No, Simple won a major this year, and he's on to win another major. They're
really?
the only favorite team left in the Rio major. So I think Simple is a good shout. I think Ye's a good shout. I think Odoamne is a good shout. He won LEC with Rogue finally. But then they got shit on at Worlds.
yeah, so it doesn't.
So probably
How
not
could he
the
be
player of the year. Seeing as he got shit on. I just guess I recognize him because Christy loves Odoamne and always talks about Odoamne and has like a thing where he rigs the player MVP polls for Odoamne every time he plays. That's all besides the point. I think Simple and Ye are the best nominations, and I think Valorant's a better game than CSGO. So I think that Ye deserves it.
I think
That's
that's reasonable.
You just convinced me. Wow, that's crazy. You convinced me on the.
I don't know who any of these
Player
other
of the
people
year.
are. Sorry, pro players who are the Aim Lab or fucking Raid Shadow Legends Player of the Year nominee.
Yeah, sorry about that. Like the PUBG pros that are on there, whatever's going on. I could be. I don't know.
Think about what
Could be
Ye's
Bejeweled
done this
players
year.
on there for all I know.
He won a world title. He went to every single international. He went to every single international tournament. He was dominant at home. He was the best player in pretty much every tournament he played in. He had the best individual performance that any individual player has ever had at Champions, the biggest Valorant tournament of the year.
Yep.
And he fucking exploded clout-wise this year on top of what he already had. Streaming like a monster, actually like popping off in everything he did. He doesn't even stream that much, but when he does, it pops off. But like, I think he deserves it. The man was pogging this year.
Yeah.
I think there's really nobody as consistent as Ye has been this year. Even like all the other players, like yes, they got really cool things, but Ye, even if they didn't make it first, every tournament because that's extremely difficult. The fact that Ye helped out so much and was such a big part of why Optic was staying on top the entire year is why it just wouldn't make sense if the award doesn't go to him. That's the whole thing.
These are all great sound arguments, and you got me, and I agree. But also, can anyone argue for any?
I'm just
of
gonna
these
say,
other guys?
I'll argue for them, but in a roundabout way, bro. It's so weird that it's impossible to compare esports to have one world championship, and that's like the only fucking international tournament that you get the entire time, versus esports to have 3 international tournaments versus CSGO, which has fucking 8, and it's just the scales all over the place. The stakes
It's
are all
because
over
like
the place.
awards are impossible to compare, and I think inherently kind of fake. But that's okay because it's fun.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
But
True.
ultimately it comes down to I don't give a fuck. Anyways.
What is this? What is this episode? What the fuck is going on? We've talked more about Overwatch than we have about Valorant. I want to talk about.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh,
Oh.
Oh,
Look
I
at
thought that
it.
was
dude, what?
actually
yo, this
topical.
actually looks crazy.
awesome.
And
Or
this
can
is
you
where we
get our
say
business development team on getting a Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship for this podcast?
Okay, I'll
Mimi,
get right
did you
on
not
that.
get the,
I'll-
did you not
sure-
get the news? This episode sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
Dude, I'm
Where's
sure
Matt
there's been an
Mitstrack? Tell him to
email.
put on a suit and talk to them.
Dude, you're not a real influencer if you haven't gotten an email from Raid Shadow Legends with a really subpar monetary offer. You're not a real influencer if you haven't got one of those. All right, well, I'm waiting to find out who wins the Peripheral Manufacturer of the Year award.
Yay.
Personally, what the fuck is next? We have the state. Oh, finally, we got the real. Hold on, real shit meme.
Real
We're about to
topic alert.
change the game.
The stage is set. for Game Changers Championship. It's finally here. There's finally an international event for Game Changers. Long have we awaited. But yeah, where do we want to start with this? We could start with start off with NA.
This video.
The music video.
The video,
This video
and then
was fucking awesome.
Yeah, this was so cool.
yeah.
You just broke your mic. Maybe.
Did I actually?
Okay, you're
It's fine.
good
It's
again.
fine.
Okay. Well, I was pogging in case you didn't hear the first time.
This video is really cool. I gotta say, one of the players is supposed to be Kunir from KRÜ. She didn't even know it was her. Like, it doesn't really look too much like her, but it's cool. It's sick though. I really like it.
Wait, really? That happened? That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody started her. I think
That's
everybody
supposed to be
started
Kunir?
tagging her, and I was like, she was like, "Is that me?" And then after that, I think 2 hours passed, and I think Riot confirmed that it was her, but she had no idea. I mean,
Yeah,
I
they
see the
don't tell people.
hair. I see like.
Yeah,
I
they have to
don't-
figure it out. I remember when the one for Champions came out, and all the pro players were tweeting like, "Wait, fuck, is that me?"
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
freaking out.
Yeah, which is funny because it's
Which I actually think is kind of cool that they leave it up as like a big mystery and like a big surprise for the players, which I think is awesome.
Mhm.
And I also like that Riot is putting like the same amount of like effort into like at least in terms of like hyping up the event with stuff
Yeah.
like this. I think that's very cool.
this song is way better than the champion song.
Is it a custom
Let's go.
song? Because I
Yeah.
heard like the word vandal in there and shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
custom.
custom, right? That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Fucking dope.
nice.
Cool stuff. I
Dope.
was a little weirded out by the fact that it just randomly dropped. I was like, hold up. Like the champion song got like a week of hype or whatever, and just like came out. I was like, hold up. What's this on my YouTube thing? I'm not gonna click this. It says cinematic trailer. And then I clicked it like 2 hours later and I was like, hold up, wait, hold up, let's go.
They just dropped a little surprise drop, like the Beyonce
nice.
album. It just
It's like a Beyonce
here it
album.
is. Here it is. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Crazy, but yeah, it's cool. They're doing all the hype. They're still they're just doing all of the necessary marketing and hype. I saw there's the in-game stuff. I also the prize pool seemed pretty large.
500,000. That's
Um,
half of Champions for a Game Changers event. That's pretty
That's
sick.
Yeah, it's a
Chunky.
dense prize pool that they put up.
Irrelevant if there's no skins, but yeah, I mean, in
You-
comparison.
yeah. I mean, listen, there might be. There might be.
Who knows?
There's still it's
I
possible.
hope so.
I mean, that would be pretty sick. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good marketing efforts going into this, as is expected from. Again,
As a-
I mean,
as
this
a
is
shill
my
for
Connor
Riot
Prince
Games.
moment. Ooh, the marketing team.
I'm a paid Riot Games shill, and I want to say that the merchandise for this one, I think, is probably like the best hoodie and shirt for a
Wait.
global event yet.
No,
And
I'm
we're-
not gonna get one. No.
Wait, that's so sad. You can probably buy one. I'm
coughing
gonna
right now.
I'm
Link it? I
gonna
wanna
link this
see
in the
it.
chat. I linked it in the chat, Kurt. But this is
It
it's
is
actually
so good.
sick. There's a video of it too. I think I've been an avid Riot Games merch collector, and I think this
Yeah.
is the best one.
This is some.
Yeah, the
this
back
is
is
some,
really nice.
This is some great page shilling. We got Mimi page shilling about the merch, and then Ball.
I love Riot Games.
Oh, there's new merch. Trying to go to it. Oh no, I hope it's not sold out. While wearing his merch right now.
Don't worry.
Still got
Don't
more
worry.
merch on.
The drop hasn't happened yet. It happens tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Yes, let's go.
Set
Basically,
your alarms, guys.
24
Hashtag
hours
hype.
from now.
There you go,
And I'm
Ryan.
You
also
gotta get
adding
that
half an hour so
Steez or
that
whatever
I
the
get it
kids say.
first. Bitches.
There's
let's
a
go.
video that I linked you as well, Curtis. The shirts.
Oh, there's a video.
There's a
We're
video.
gonna
I don't know
watch
what the video is. We gotta react to it. Come on. It's a podcast. We gotta react.
Right, I'm sending you my bank account. Counting number.
So my
I expect some
SSN ends
money
in
for
5317.
this.
Is there sound, or am I getting trolled?
No, you're controlled.
I'm not playing the sound.
No
No.
sound.
Oh, okay.
I
alright.
didn't know
I was like,
that I
why
was
aren't we
supposed to.
No
talking?
sound. All good.
I'm
pretty,
uncomfortable.
pretty sick.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, pretty.
Copper
sick.
drop. Can we do an impromptu copper drop segment
Yes.
on the merch?
We can. We can.
I'm copping because I'll probably get it for free because I'm working the event. So inherently I will cop. But I also would have bought it because it looks really cool.
There you are. You bought it.
Dude, look at the technology we have these
No
days.
buy. Whoops.
Kurt is actually
Um,
living in the future.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the tournament instead of giving more before we give any more free promo to make Riot more money. Let's talk about the actual tournament at hand. We can start with NA. We're gonna move down the list. We're gonna talk about all the teams. Don't worry if you're a fan of. Oh, but I'm a fan of. We're talking about them. All right. So we're gonna move down the list. We're gonna do power rankings. We're gonna do players to watch. We got all types of topics and things to discuss. So if you're waiting for something, hold on, because it's going to happen. But we're going to start with NA because we're biased. I'm biased at least. We're going to start.
Real quick note: we're going to kind of speedrun EMEA and NA because we already talked about them in detail in previous episodes.
Yeah.
So
Wait, when are we going to talk about SCA though? SCA?
Doing it this episode.
SCA?
It's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
APAC, Japan. We're talking about them in detail this episode, Ball.
We're talking.
We're going crazy. We're going dummy
Everything.
stupid on APAC.
Yeah, we were talking everything. All right, but so starting off with we'll just start with C9 White. Are they the favorite?
Favorites.
Are they the favorite to
Yes.
win?
Yes.
Yes.
Just
After-
yeses
so-
all around. Yeses all
So
around.
this week, I'm in the time chamber watching all these teams. And
Uh-huh.
after watching all these teams, I'm going to go out and say it. I think Cloud9 is like actually just a tier break above anyone else in this tournament. I think if they lose a match this event, I think that's a big surprise. I think this team looks far and away so much better. I think the raw individual skill with the way that like Bob and Jazzy and Mel are playing right now, and even how their supportive players are playing right now, looks way better than practically all of these other teams. And even the teams that I think could match them individually, I think Cloud9 has more depth to them. I think they have more adaptability in the comps that they can play and the ideas that they can bring. And I have a lot of faith in Mel. And I think the biggest reason for that is because I think this is the only team that has learned to lose in this tournament. Besides maybe like a Shopify, or the teams have been perennially second place, like your Guild, or like even over in APAC with why have I completely forgotten this team's
X10
name? With
Fennel.
X10, I apologize, who's always losing out in the finals over there. But this team has been playing open events constantly. They have been getting pounded in them. They have lost so much. And the players have talked about how important that has been for their growth. They've been together for 2 years, and their entire time, they've been playing those events. They've been competing. Bob has been competing in the open circuit with Sonics. They almost made a VCT main event. Like, this team has lost together, has taken those moments to go back, and they have learned from it so much. The other top teams that people are saying will be able to compete with them have not done that. Gozen barely plays open events. They played like one VCT Open and a couple tournaments, but they have not done so in months. And that's true for most of these teams, besides Shopify, who plays sometimes. Like, I think Cloud9 just has so much more experience as a team. They've lost together as a team. They've learned from it. And on top of that, their individual performance is just so incredibly good right now that I think they're just going to stomp this event. Their goal is beyond game changers, and I think this event is going to show it.
So I want to narrow down what you were saying there, Mimi, because you were saying that they learned to lose, which was that was very ESPN of you. But
It was inside the NBA.
I love that fucking like classic sports desk statement. But so are you saying they learned to lose, or rather they have played and lost against higher level competition, and that's what has got them
Yeah,
on
I was
that
saying,
tier gap?
I think
Because
that's
they're
more of what I
playing
was saying.
against more teams outside of game changers. Is that what you're getting
That's
at?
correct. They are playing against teams who are actually tier 1 in officials and in scrims, and are playing against them and are competing against them. And I think you learn so much more by playing against people above your level than you do playing at people at your level, or just stomping on people below your level, which I think, at least in officials, that's what a lot of these teams, particularly the ones that are like regionally dominant, have been doing, in that they just breeze their way through their regions, come here. And I think Cloud9 has done this more than pretty much any of these other teams.
Yeah, there's no other team that has the same amount of tournament experience as Cloud9, and it is a big difference that you can tell just with the complexity of everything when they are playing game changers and when they're playing the other tournaments. And I think that's the thing, right? Because there's pretty much all the other regions, or if not most of the other regions, there's one team that's really dominant, but it's only in game changers. You don't often see them in other tournaments. Part of it, I want to say though, it's probably because in other regions, the tier 2 scene is not as active as NA, so there's more opportunities for Cloud9 to participate in those events, but that is also a matter of choice, right? So at that point, when you have Shopify and you have Cloud9, you could see Shopify going and participating in the same amount of tournaments. You don't see it as much, and it does really go into what Mimi was saying. It goes beyond Game Changers. It's a team that's really committed to being the best of the best, and they're taking the steps to do so in a way that they're ahead compared to everybody else. So this is a team that is one tier above everybody else, I would say.
Yeah. The only part I would disagree with is that they should be expected to not lose a single map or something like that. Maybe.
I
think
said a
they-
match. I said a match.
Okay, a match. Yeah, that's probably a little bit more likely. But I don't think this team is entirely untouchable with the level of some of the other top teams. That's not to say that they're not the favorites, but this is Valorant, and even a match that's
Anyone can win any series.
yeah, exactly. So there is a tier gap, but that's not something that, like, for example, at this event cannot be broken, right? Teams are going to be able to hop above any tier gaps.
We've
because
seen
this is a
Shopify
line.
touch them, and there are teams better than Shopify at this tournament.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, they're not completely untouchable. Anyways, we're gonna get into ranking them, so I don't want to
Yeah.
argue too much on that point.
And then just any quick thoughts on Shopify? Are they going to be able to? I guess actually, my question was Shopify is then, I'm going to assume they exist under the tier gap that Mimi mentioned, obviously. So it's like Cloud9 and then the rest of the teams. Is it Shopify and then the rest? Is this just pure we're off the NA
No.
fucking cope? Or is it Shopify or tier below C9 White but in the mix with a bunch of other teams?
I think the thing that makes Shopify interesting is that I don't necessarily think they have massive star power or anything like that, whereas other teams at this event do, but they are really good on a lot of different other things. So I think they will be fighting for the best of the rest type of beat, but I don't know. I'm not as super excited for any particular player or anything like that from this team. Yeah, I think for sure it's going to be best of the rest type of thing for them.
I think the real test is it might have been the first match that they have because they're playing against Guild. And it's definitely a team for Shopify that I put kind of in the middle. I do not expect it to be, NA at the top and then everybody else under. I think Shopify is, it's kind of a mix. And I think some of the EMEA teams like Guild, for sure, I see them putting up a fight, maybe even taking away that match. And it goes to a lot of these teams. I think this is the real test for Shopify that we haven't been able to see in Game Changers even.
Yeah, I think the expectation for Shopify in this tournament is I'd probably put them if I had to power rank ahead of this tournament, I'd probably expect them to finish if they have a good tournament, third, fourth. If they have probably fourth if they have a good tournament. If they have a rougher tournament, maybe fifth, sixth. I think that they're in line with a lot of the other really strong regional teams. I think they can put up a fight against your KRÜs, against your Team Liquid Brazils. I think they could even beat some of the EMEA teams, but I also think there's a chance that they can fall to them. They don't have that same star power of Cloud9, like you were saying, but they've also had some issues with their mental in the past where they've kind of crumbled, let some leads slip, things like that. So I'm really hoping they've gotten that under control for this tournament. I'm pretty sure they were boot camping in Toronto. I'm not sure if they're going to Europe earlier or anything like that. I haven't been able to find that one out yet. But I think that if they have things under control, this team can be really good. It is one of those squads where it's kind of better than the sum of the parts, particularly with KP. When she's having a good day, when her calling is on point, this team really can take down Titan squads. They've beaten Cloud9 before, but they also have those rough days. Like here in Game Changers 3, the event to qualify, they lost a series in the qualifiers. They had to go down to the lower bracket in the main event. This team is tested in NA, and I think they're really going to be tested at this event. So I would temper expectations, but still see this squad as one that will be able to compete with some of the top level teams from other regions if they are playing to their potential.
Gotcha. So with the EU teams then, you mentioned Guild finally won Game Changers 3 after placing second in 2 and the first one this year, both to G2. And then in this most recent one, they were in the lower bracket, made a lower bracket run, and then beat G2 in the final. So it was the first time that Guild has actually won. I guess with Guild then, looking at that team, what are what are the positive and the negative aspects of this team heading into the event? Mimi, if you want to start.
Sure. I'll start on this team. I think first off, you got to talk about some of the positives. That's experience. Claudia is one of the most experienced players that like you have, period. And I think bringing her into a LAN environment is going to be really good. She does a good job of keeping her team focused and keeping a team which has a lot of star power in that way. They have two players that were kind of talked about as being like the Turkish jet. They have pretty much like 3 duelist players on this team who started their life in that role of just being crazy individual stars, with Smurfette, with Ness even, and I think Enya as well was kind of in that way. So they have a lot of just like crazy potential as individuals, but sometimes I feel like the execution and their coordination fails, and I think that was more so an issue before. I think in this most recent Game Changers, I saw a big step up for them. Ahead of this event, they had the former Oglu coach, Joint, come and join them, and they've talked a lot about some of the ideas and kind of structure he helped bring into this team, and they really looked a lot better. And they were also facing a G2 that has had to make some roster changes, that has been switching around. This isn't the same G2 that we saw when they were on their crazy dominant run. They're still a really good team, but they've been constantly fighting that battle of finding their fifth. And for Guild, they've found a roster that is really working for them. And I feel like they've started to actually be able to sort out their roles in a way that is making more and more sense. And with the individual potential this team has, I would put them probably in a pretty similar like quality of like my expectations for Shopify, where I think they're a team that can make a deeper run and could hit into that top 4 if they're performing really well, but could also kind of fizzle out and be somewhere near the middle there. They still make some interesting compositional choices, like they're playing like this Viper Neon Cypher like Fracture comp and things like that with like just the Viper solo controller. They still do some weird things, but it now is looking more and more like there's intention behind it, and they're playing really well with it. So I'm interested by the way they play the game, and I am quite excited to see them online.
So the biggest strength for this team, I would say, is that flexibility, and sometimes it turns into really weird compositions that they're playing. But everybody that you look at has been trying something different, and this is not something that you see, especially for other regions. When you look at APAC, when you look at Latin America, Brazil, where it's a little bit more standard, and I think this is a huge advantage that they're going to have, knowing that they have so many players able to play that jet, so many different compositions and ideas that they have, and you can kind of play into it can really get to your head, especially for the enemy team, and knowing how this team works and the different things that they've been trying out. I do agree with sometimes the execution for those compositions and for the things that they're running doesn't look as good as I think they're imagining it, or they're picturing in paper.
Sure.
But it's I don't know. It depends on that consistency that we might be able to see from them, because if they prove and they show what they did for that final, then they can really make it potentially top 3, top 4. But besides that, if not, then it can be like other teams that might be and have been playing the same things over and over again that just are able to have a cleaner game.
I think one thing that is interesting with them, and one thing that I worry about heading into this tournament, is I felt like within maps, they sometimes struggle to find the answer and find an adaptation if their opponent pulls out something that they didn't really expect. For example, when they were playing Pearl versus Gozen in their finals, Gozen's attacking side was oftentimes really similar, where they're just default early fighting mid, breaking chamber trip, and then just like late round re-hitting B. And it felt like Guild never really found an answer to that. They tried pushing extremities, changing things up from time to time, but it really felt like they were struggling to make a change on the fly, which is something that I think has been more of an issue in the past. So I do worry when they play some of these regional teams. Like I'm thinking, for example, someone like KRÜ, who does make sometimes big changes within maps and will pull out like some crazy shit, that they're going to struggle to adapt a little bit. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
I feel like it comes down to, can Guild play their own game? If they're able to play their own game, if they were to take control of it from the beginning, I think they'll be fine. But, you know, in other matchups, like even Liquid, I think that's when it gets more difficult to be able to take control, because that's what Guild struggled with the entire year, right? Until the end, it was, can they make it their own? And what, I mean, they have the agent pool, they have all the kind of the basics that they should need for this one, but is now they're the real deal going against even Shopify.
That's going to be interesting if they do play Shopify the very first round.
Yeah.
It's like the two perma second place teams and two teams that I'm kind of looking at coming into this tournament as like measuring stick teams starting there. So that should be cool.
Well, you can't call them perma second place anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah. Almost perma for
I
guild.
think also the most, and you already mentioned it, Mimi, is this is actually probably the only time that an NA player in Valorant has been transplanted to an EU team in Claudia. So that's pretty freaking cool. Claudia used to play for CLG Red, right? For a long time.
Yeah, she has a lot of history.
Yeah, she's like a goat in terms of female CS and stuff like that. So I think that'll be really cool as well to see her online again, and against potentially some of her former foes in NA.
Yeah, that's guild team's got some pretty good firepower too. There's Ness, the smokes
Ness
player,
popped
especially,
off
and
in the front,
Viper goes off. Speaking on G2 a bit, then, do you guys think G2 are comparable to C9 White? Like, is that if you were to make that comparison, just because they've been the dominant team in Game Changers EU, is it a good comparison or no?
I think not. I personally, I haven't, outside of the research I've been doing for this episode specifically, which was just a couple matches from them in this last series, I felt they were kind of I don't know, like a trolley team in a sense, that they're just playing for like fun and they're super skilled, but most of the time they're just kind of going with whatever they feel like in a sense. Like you see their comps are all over the place, like, and not all the time are you like, holy shit, this makes no sense. Like actually, like the Pearl on or the Reyna on Pearl, for example, which they apparently were running a lot, actually had some chops to it. There's like a lot of like Lear traps that they were running, which were really cool. And then on top of that, they just have really skilled players. I just don't see that same hunger to just smash everybody from the few games that I've watched, compared to Cloud9 White, which their dynasty is formed on just demolishing Game Changers the entire time in more traditional ways than some of the stuff that they're doing, Yeah.
I also think for Gozen, one of their issues has been their roster. Like they've had this core three all the way back to Counter-Strike. And I think you got to talk about that as like a big buff for them going in. Mimi, Giuliano, and Petra have played together like all the way back, not continuously, but like all the way back. These people have history to like 2015, and actively these three have been playing together since the start of 2020 continuously to now, starting in CS and then moving over to Valorant. I don't know if people remember, but Gozen was actually kind of late to move over to Valorant. They were that Xset Counter-Strike squad, and they were one of the like last female CS teams that were really holding out to keep playing Counter-Strike and not switching over. When they eventually switched, they were kind of bad, but then they got good, iterated into this dominant roster. But it's always felt like their story has kind of been like they find something good and then it doesn't stick. They win a Game Changers with Sile. They don't sign her. She goes to NA. She plays with Xset. They win another Game Changers with Anya, and then they don't sign her. And then she goes over to Guild now. And now they're finally here. Zaz leaves. They have to fill another role. So they get Mary into the roster. They get Glance just before that. But it's been kind of a revolving door of filling those players around this core. And they finally stuck in with Mary, which was, I think, like 6 months ago. Yeah, just exactly 6 months ago now. And they've been able to play quite a bit with her. And I think she's looked really good. Like, to talk about Mary, she is a fantastic talent. She's like the only like actual MENA representative that in Game Changers for EMEA. At least it's going to this event. That's actually making EMEA. She's Bahraini. She's only 16 years old, and she's a really, really good player. But I felt the same with you, Arten, in that I think that like the comps they play and like the way it just doesn't have that same like idea of dominance and that same like almost fixation for me in the Cloud9 White shows in wanting to find like the perfect comp and the perfect way to play every map. Like, don't get me wrong, they are really, really good. Their coordination is really nice. The experience between them, the micro on all the players is really good. But I don't think I can constantly put them the same level of Cloud9, with Cloud9 having been pretty much the same roster, bar picking up Bob, who was a clear just upgrade in firepower. versus this team who's been kind of juggling between their rosters and is playing comps that I don't feel like are as on point. And while their micro is good, I don't think they've been really tested in the same way that Cloud9 has in playing outside tournaments. I think G2's biggest test was this game against Guild. And for me, they really failed on that account. I think people will come into this tournament looking at G2 Gozen and thinking they are one of the clear tournament favorites. They're looking so good. They've always been dominant in EMEA. And I think they can be that. I think they can be great. I think they could make a grand finals performance, but I don't see them beating Cloud9 with the way they're playing right now.
Gotcha. All right, we can move on to some of the other teams then. Talk about Team Liquid Brazil. This is another team that I imagine a lot of people in our audience probably don't know a lot about, just given that they're not from NA or EU. So I guess I kind of want to extract information about this team from those with the knowledge. And specifically, I guess one of the things that I have in my mind when I'm thinking about this tournament is comparing it to the first Reykjavik last year, and if there's going to be a pattern that plays out in regard to which regions are good initially and then how things will shape out over time, or is the tournament going to be different just because obviously different teams and because so much time has passed and the game has evolved. But do Team Liquid Brazil have enough positive aspects to make a deep run at this tournament, possibly even be top 3, beat C9 White? Like, what is the extent of it, and what are the best things about this team, Dan?
Well, basically, for Liquid, this is a team that has been incredibly dominant in their region. They've been playing at the top. They've been also playing, I know, like in scrims and stuff. And this is what other players from other teams, like tier 1 teams in Latin America and Brazil, have said, that they scrim against them. And they are actually expecting them to make great things happen because of how good they are at being different from everybody else in Brazil. So for the entirety of Game Changers, from beginning to end of the year, the strategy that a lot of teams were running against Liquid was just counter strategizing them really hard into compositions, into playstyles. And that was kind of how everybody shaped to be. Everybody just wanted to take down Liquid, and it played against them even on the finals. But you can see how they're always the dominant team at the end of the day, even if all the compositions and everything gets leaked. It's so good what they've been able to do. I feel like the mid round is really nice to see from them, and they also have the star player that everybody talks about, Bastar, that she is the only player that is not from Brazil. She comes from Chile, and she is really good at even though she's not the AGL, she's really good at taking the lead when she needs to. So the mental that you see from this team is not something that happens very often in any level of Valorant. The fact that they were able to reverse sweep the grand finals is just
after getting
insane.
owned the first 2 maps, by the way.
Yeah,
like those maps they were playing terribly in those first 2 maps, and then utterly turned it around.
It's insane, and a lot of people were saying this team can make it far. I was talking about this yesterday with Mimi. There was one player from EMEA who said, because Liquid likes to bootcamp in EMEA when they had free time. I think it was like August, September. And some of the players from EMEA were saying they scrim against them. And they were actually really surprised in a good way, because they expect Liquid to make it far in the tournament. And this is EMEA teams that go against, your G2s and also your Guild team. So, there's a lot of high expectations that I have for this team, and it's not just watching them, but what everybody that knows them personally is saying about them.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. I didn't know they were boot camping and all that. That's pretty cool. But I guess also expected because they are
over
Team
to
Liquid.
They have like that Netherlands HQ that I think they've been into a couple times. For this team, for me, I think, first of all, there's some really cool stories on the team. First of all, their long-term dominance is Brazil is pretty awesome. I know players like Mel have talked about like really, really wanting to play these girls. So they go all the way back to when they were Gamelanders Purple. It's been the whole roster that whole time. They've been really consistent together as this 5. It's not like Gozen where they've been dominant, but they've switched things around. It's not even like Cloud9 where they've switched out a player. Like, it has been this core that has been fantastic for a very long time. And I think one of the players that has impressed me the most, beyond talking about Bastarda, is Daiki, their IGL. She's only 18 years old, and she's playing the scout initiator role, and she is so giga fucking good as an individual. And I actually felt like her calling for the team has also been pretty solid, which I was super impressed by. I think when you sum up Team Liquid Brazil, you have to first of all just talk about how incredible they are as individuals. I think that's the first point, because every one of these gals are like, actually I think like players that can be like the absolute top of like just like what like the raw like micro mechanical play is of players in this tournament, which obviously puts them a step above a lot of the other teams just inherently. But my worry is that I feel like from what I've watched in Brazil, they've gotten some bad habits sometimes from that dominance. I think particularly when I was watching that grand finals, their trading was just so incredibly troll a lot of the time. Like they would just utterly troll and execute, and their trading would fall apart on site, and they wouldn't be able to scale properly. But then Daiki would be in a 1v4 and just win it because they're just that much better as raw mechanical players. So I'm kind of in a position with this team right now where I'm thinking like, I see some good things from them. I'm seeing these rounds where they make a really good call, they make a really good decision, and they have the individual skill to back it up. But I'm also seeing these rounds where they're really good individually, but they're just making some kind of troll decisions or not properly trading out their teammates, or maybe it feels like comms are falling apart somehow. I'm not really sure how to diagnose it. But they're still winning rounds anyway. So then my question is, if they're playing against these teams from other regions that are also very experienced and very strong, will those same issues start to percolate and show through? Or is this the kind of situation like we've seen from, I think, a team like Loudnet is an example. Because if you watch them in the region, they do a little bit of trolling sometimes, but they're just so good that it does not matter. But they go to international events and they can look like a different team because they know how to be that good. And they're fine to play in their region and troll a little bit because they know they're just that step better. And I want that to be the case with Liquid, but I'm not sure yet. I think this team has huge potential, though, heading into this event.
I think I saw them specifically struggle when there's not only aggression, but also like there's stuff that they're not accounting for in whatever strat that they call that gives up a lot of information on Icebox specifically. I don't know, maybe that
Icebox is quite bad.
Horrendous against before, but in general they actually like they beat before, I believe, on Icebox in the past. Like it's not a map that they're trying to avoid. So I was a little confused when I watched that one specifically. But what was wrong was they would like not break a dart in mid or something like that, and then they'd get pushed on B, and then like there'd be somebody playing like up close on A, and they would get pushed into this space where they felt like they were getting trapped, you know. And I could see that same pattern recurring on multiple different maps. It was just a lot harder for before to do that on specific maps. Just for example, Ascent, like obviously you're controlling both extremities as part of the game plan. But specifically on a map like Icebox, or in cases like on Ascent where it just does happen, you see them get a little flustered in their calling, a little where they're indecisive, or they're going to take too long, or they aren't really accounting for what's happening, even though they're getting the information. Those types of things, which I fear in this tournament will be really, really bad for them against top teams that will punish that, right? And also consistently put them in that situation. I don't think they were getting enough of that in Brazil, but I will say they're like, I put them in terms of like the creativity that they're putting out, like in terms of their dash darts that Bastarda's doing. There's so much actually insane creativity that's coming from this team that I think like only Guild X is matching, honestly, and maybe KRÜ, that like they're staying on top of the meta essentially, which is an advantage for them.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to Fennel GC. There's 4 players from Japan and 1 player from Korea. And they qualified beating what was the team again? It was Spear Gaming.
Spear Gaming.
Yeah, they qualified after because they lost to them earlier in the group stage, and then beat them later on in the final to qualify. Another team that I feel like they got some pretty strong firepower at the very least, especially from festival. They have some solid individual play, I think. But is this a team, again, kind of making the comparison to how things started on the international scene in Reykjavik last year? Is there going to be a big learning curve for the teams coming from some of the other regions that are not as large as NA or EU? And I say that also while the viewership for this region, by the way, was the highest, right? With like 60K or something. So, I mean, which is crazy because, I mean, I say that, yet NA had the least viewership of every scene, which is actually pretty wild.
That true? That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, yeah, peak viewers 66K for, I'm assuming that's the finals you're looking at, Kurt?
The average is higher than the peak, bro. Or the average is higher than NA's peak.
Yeah, bro. I average your
tough.
peak. How about that, NA?
I think NA's peak was 13K.
That's cool. I mean,
I can dig it up real quick.
That's that's crazy.
I mean, that just speaks to how fucking bored people are of watching Cloud9 beat Shopify.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean,
Well,
that
this
might be
show
true. Go on, man.
has a certain history with Japan. It has a
Yeah.
certain history that
Uh-huh.
I unfortunately wasn't on that episode.
Yeah.
Um,
Wyatt, I think I choose not to speak.
But I feel like I need to speak. I feel like I can't sit in silence and not speak about Fennel. Because I don't know if you guys know what Fennel is. It's not just an esports team. It's actually a plant. I'll read you guys the definition.
Yeah.
Fennel is a flowering plant species in the carrot family. It is hardy, perennial herb with yellow flowers and feathery leaves. It is indigenous to the shores of the Mediterranean and has become widely nationalized in many parts of the world. And I'm sorry, Fennel Esports, but I think you are going to get harvested like Fennel in this tournament. I don't have super high expectations for this team. And I'm going to preface this by saying I have nothing but respect for Japan and for the players on this team and for everyone involved. But I think that they just do not have the time and experience to match what I've seen in a lot of these other teams. This is a very, very new team. They only just formed for the most recent Japan Game Changers. They only have one player who is like actually played matches before that in Suzu, who they're subbing out from the Zeta Division female team in Japan as well. But from what I saw from this team, I think that inexperience really, really showed. There's a lot of uncoordinated moments where people aren't getting the trades they need to, where they're kind of having these flawed ideas. I think a lot of the time, they're starting rounds on attack in particular where they just play really, really slow, sit in their spawn for a while, hold for a push, and then just kind of have one preset execute and flip the round on that, which I don't think will really work against some of these other teams. I saw not the same level of depth that I was seeing from some of the other squads that have had that more time, that more experience to be able to step up. But they do have some really good individual players. They have some really, really solid individuals. Festival and Suzu really impressed me when I was watching this. They had some really fantastic individual moments. Festival in particular was really, really good. But I think that I can't really consciously say I think this team is going to make that much of a run in this tournament just because of how little time they've had together and how little opportunity they've had. Maybe they'll be able to turn something around and make a big miracle run or pull off an upset somewhere. But I don't think I can put too much faith in them heading in.
Yeah, I mean, well said. I think.
So Japan, please, I love you. You're an awesome country. Please, God, don't hate me. I'm so sorry. You guys are awesome. I love Fennel Esports. I watched some of the content pieces, don't speak Japanese. The auto-translate wasn't working, but all the players seemed like really, honestly sweet people. They made like this like cute little drawing and a sign when they met one of their teammates for the first time at the airport. It was really wholesome and awesome. And also nice job with the content. But I don't think the roster is going to be that competitive.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think you always struggle when it's like the first international event for these players and teams in general. Why you keep mentioning the first Reykjavik and stuff like that. I think there are a lot of parallels, right? And the way that you can gauge a lot of times, at least for me, is I look at the match, I look at the matches, and I determine how much spaghetti is flying all over the place. And
Yep.
there's a lot in this game. They were.
The Italian cuisine was not in the bowl.
there was
Suffice it to say.
the most what the fuck moments in these matches than any of the other matches that I watched. And the X10 had a little bit, but this one, it was almost every single round.
It just feels like a very early version of a team, you know? Like, you see them individually, you know they have the potential, but there's a lot of kind of steps missing compared to where all the other teams are.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
there was some. A round just came to mind, Arden, that ruined me. That actually mentally destroyed me. They're playing a post plan on B, and they're playing off an Astra star for the pull, and the Astra puts the star too close to the spike, so it doesn't even pull someone off the defuse. It didn't end up mattering, but that just destroyed me. Like, there was just some moments where it was just like,
yeah.
There's the pasta sauce is gone.
Yeah, there was a lot of those moments, and you could see in as well as just individual skill. I mean, you guys are praising a few of the girls on the team, and there are moments, but a lot of the times you look at them and how they're approaching, the map control, how they're approaching their default, and sometimes you could just tell like they aren't like. It's not all there yet in terms of their crosshair placement or what they should be paying attention to, or them holding utility out when they could be peaked, or so many of these things that are built up over time and experience and make you a good player because it's a complete package. It's just missing. So you're going to see a lot of moments where they get farmed because there's just mistakes happening consistently, right? And then you're also going to see KRÜ randomly just like get a 3K or something like that because the aim is kind of nasty on some of the girls, but for the most part, it's tough. I think this might be the worst team going to Game Changers.
I would agree.
Yep.
That's unfortunate.
Before we move on, this sounds oddly familiar.
I know.
To how we treated Zeta Division.
I was going to ask.
No.
This is Kurt. You've assisted me in segueing into a question I wanted to propose after I was kind of a little moment of silence, let everyone think about what they've just said. But I wanted
we
to
just signed our
ask,
death warrants.
Playing off what you had said though, Mimi, about kind of their play style. Do you guys feel like their play style is sort of similar to that of Zeta Division?
I don't think they have a team identity really. I don't think there was like a clear like identity that I found that was like, oh, this is what makes this team good, or this is what makes this team this team. I think they're still at the point where a lot of these rounds are very just like puggy, inexperienced. We're gonna hit this site in the late round and sit outside and kind of chill out for a little bit. Like I think even when we had really low stocks for Zeta heading into their tournament where they eventually made the run at Reykjavik, I think even then you were seeing the flashes of brilliance and the really good moments from Zeta Division where they showed that, hey, maybe this team can be something. Maybe they can pull off these upsets. And there was a few of those with this team, but it was just like, there was like, on top of that, for every like good moment I saw, there was like a lot of spaghetti moments and a lot of moments where it just seemed like the team got lost in the sauce. And yeah, I'm sorry, but I just don't really, I don't really see a lot of, I would be very surprised if they don't get first round in the tournament.
It reminds me more of Crazy Raccoon going to the first Reykjavik type of situation than Zeta. I mean, I'm not like trying to disparage, but it's just I think this tournament's going to be a great place for them to get the experience and also bring back something to Japan.
There's going to be a lot to learn for them. And I think like for Japan, their game changer scene hasn't had a ton. This team is very new. So I think this is going to be a very, very, very good learning opportunity. Whereas if this team is sticking together and they're really dedicated to making this happen, I mean, this is going to be a hell of a place to learn. You're playing against some really fucking good teams in this tournament.
Also, I think there's something to be said about the fact that Japan beat Korea once, like in this LCQ, I guess you could basically call it, and China had a team here as well. Like that's again just continuously showing Japan is going to crank out some really good Valorant teams down the line. Not only just in Game Changers, but everywhere too. Like this is just more proof of that.
They literally average our peak They average our peak.
I think the future is good for Japan. I think they have some good talent. I think they have great viewership. I think there will be a point where this will be a learning opportunity. This team can take this back from Japan. And in the future, I think there's a lot more potential. Or they're just gonna end up being fucking really good for some reason.
Mimi's like, hold up. Let me fucking.
let me dial this back. Maybe we should move them up the power
second.
rankings a little bit. Maybe we should switch them up a bit.
God. All right. Next up, we have the Dan Dryad hour. It's KRÜ Fem.
Let's go. Let's go. It's time. Look,
Kind of bat chest, Dan. Go crazy.
Yeah, just bat chest. Listen, just go off.
I've been waiting the entire year for a KRÜ Cloud9 match because KRÜ is insane. And it's crazy to me that nobody pays attention to KRÜ. Like, everybody talks, sometimes they go, yeah, Cloud9, really good. They're probably going to win the thing. Or they go, G2, also EMEA fans. G2 is going to take it all. And they look at dominant teams from all across the world. But they don't pay attention to KRÜ that has been winning every single matchup as well. Yeah, there it is. 36 out of 39 maps in Game Changers 1. And this is only this year. Last year, they were free agent team before they got signed under KRÜ. And they won everything as well. And that was without a coach in the early stages because of how good this team is. It's crazy to me that people are underrating them. And I feel like that just comes from a place of they just don't know. They really lack the critical information about how good these players are individually and how much potential they have against the big teams. Like, yeah, even Cloud9. Like, I expect them to put up a fight against them. The roster that you see right now, you need to look at Kunir. Kunir is, I believe, the only player that has and is playing Game Changers right now that has made it to VCT playoffs because she was in a team with a mixed roster. It was 4 guys and it was her, and they made it really far last year. What other Game Changers player has been able to do that? It's just her. And the stats that she got at that time were insane. The team ended up disbanding because the org wasn't paying them. But
by the way, if that didn't hit in what Dan just said, this is like 2021 era Challengers, where like Challengers main event was called Challengers Playoffs. Like, this was the top 8 teams in the region, and her team made it as one of the top 8 LATAM teams, which is insane. Even Bob, who I think is the next closest player, she almost qualified to a Challengers main event in North America. This is the player in Game Changers who has played at the absolute highest level in Valorant. No one else has made it that deep into an open tournament that I know of in this tournament.
Her stats are fucking crazy.
She dropped 25 kills on the Leviathan core while playing in that tournament, by the way.
Yeah, it is insane. Everybody talks about her. Everybody knows this girl because she's just insanely talented. And actually, when they were doing that post-match interview on that grand final that they had against
Go to the map,
Firepower,
she played Reyna. Just click on the map, she played Reyna. Oh, next one. Look at that shit. She's fucking Leviathan. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's insane, and everybody knows her. Like everybody from the KRÜ, like old KRÜ roster and Leviathan knows her because of this. I mean, they know her from so long ago, and from all the players that they know each other in the scene. She made that decision at the end of the day to go with KRÜ, and I mean, I'm so happy because of how good they look. I feel like the coach also helps them out so much. Fricks is a coach that has been in the scene, is a person that has been in the scene for the longest time. And you can really see the structure that they have. They have some cool and I think creative strategies that you don't see from a lot of teams going to Game Changers in Berlin. And yeah, overall insane. Cool fact, Kunsu is Mazino's sister. And people don't know that. And she is Mazino's older sister. Mazino would actually go and watch her play Counter-Strike when she was playing that and go support her. And then Mazino ended up in KRÜ. Then this like free agent roster got picked up by KRÜ. They were in the same team for a long time. And it's crazy to me. There's so many cool storylines. The talent is for sure there. And I think all the players, what they're saying right now is they're like, we don't have to say anything. We're just going to prove everything that we've been preparing. They're boot camping. They said in an interview that they had a scrim against like Cloud9 Blue. They say they want to go against G2. There's so many things that give me really good signs of life for what they're going to do this tournament.
Yeah, I think their style of play is also actually really good. On top of their just raw star power being pretty on point, I think I'm gonna compare them to a team that more people probably know. I would compare them to like a modern like Baby Bay Dicey kind of phase, where it's a lot of like on their a lot of like walk pushing extremities with 2 players, and then like going for these like quick contact like burst plays, which is normally with their kind of chamber jet players, which they like playing that a fair bit. On the defense, they play a lot of like kind of like super entrenched, like on their ascent, they're always playing like 3-2 towards the B site, and like anchoring it down with the killjoy, and they're really good at like holding on, getting that opening pick, and then kind of resetting and playing into these retakes a lot of the time, like you've seen in a lot of these clips. And I think they have a style that works well in this meta. I think they have the raw firepower to back it up. I also saw some good adaptability. You talked about their coach in Fricks. I think their calling was actually pretty good. Kalita, who's their IGL, I think has shown some pretty sound decision making in the matches I was watching. I think KRÜ is probably the team that people are going to underrate the most coming into this event.
Yeah.
When I was watching them, I actually
Insane.
thought this squad is pretty sick,
crazy.
and I think they can actually do a lot in this tournament.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just
I should
extremely
have
underrated.
fucking, bro. I was getting ready to fucking pop off about this team and be like, and have
Let's
the
go.
craziest takes. I forgot that Dan was on the episode, and then Mimi is just fucking co-signing everything, and I was gonna be like, guys,
Oh, also
This
they
team
they
is the
FPX
dark
buy,
horse.
like every round. It's awesome. They win every pistol and then they just FPX buy and they convert. They're so fucking good. I love
this
KRÜ. I
team
love
is the
KRÜ. I
dark
love
horse
KRÜ.
of this event. Please, they're gonna be
Thank you,
so
Paul.
fucking.
You're so brave and bold for saying what no one else will. Finally, someone will speak to the,
I
to
was
the
just gonna
truth.
say, man. Nobody's talking about this team. Just saying, nobody's talking. Only I'm talking about it.
No one else is talking about this team. Spawn. You knew.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Christ.
hilarious because I've only watched them. I know literally zero about them. I watched this grand final and like, holy fuck, like it feels genuinely like outside of Cloud9 Wyatt and maybe like Giuliano, every single one of these players is top tier.
Yes.
They're
Top
so fucking good.
Go.
outside of maybe Kansu, but I didn't know she was Mizzino's sister, and now I'm fucking pogging about Kansu too.
Like Kansu is also like pretty good. Like that ascent game.
Kansu
she's
is
fine.
also the IGL.
Oh, Kansu
So,
is? Did I?
yeah.
I trolled. I thought it was Kalita.
Yeah,
Okay.
Kansu is the IGL. And she is. So when they were free agent team last year, that was the only change that they made. They had another player called Autumn. She left, and then Kansu joined the team. And yeah, she's really good at IGL. I think you can see it, the experience that she has, because I think she's actually the most experienced player in general for when she was playing Counter-Strike a bunch.
She's 28, I think. Like she's
Yeah.
she's the team's boomer.
And you can see, I like that. I like that in IGL. I think
28?
yeah,
Damn.
it's nice.
Abuela, holy shit.
28 is boomer
Oh,
now?
28's not boomer. Once you hit 30, it's boomer. But like 20s is fine. I guess I'm 20 now. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm
not even young anymore.
28. I mean, I'm gonna be 27 soon. God damn, I'm
Yeah. But KRÜ is the fucking
Really a
truth.
boomer.
I actually think if I'm doing Pickems now, KRÜ in the grand finals. KRÜ in the grand finals. That's my take. KRÜ Cloud9 grand finals. I'm not even fucking capping.
You keep doing this thing. You're like, if I had to choose like power rankings right now,
Yeah, I'm
and
just
I keep
ruining
thinking,
our
I'm
power
like,
rankings
we're just maybe you
I'm
have to
ruining
choose
it.
power
I'm ruining
rankings.
we're gonna do it. We're going to be doing power rankings. Okay. Final team before we move on to the players to watch. Boy, I wonder if Dan picked-
X10.
in here. It's X10 Sapphire. They won some very close games at the end of their run to actually qualify for this event. I mean, again, I really just X10. Who are they? Can they make a deep run? What are the positive aspects? What might hold them back? Just I need the general information here being dispensed, maybe.
All right. I'm gonna start with some just story time for this team. They are similar to like a Guild or a Shopify where they've been constant second place. They've lost a ton of grand finals to Alter Ego Celeste and haven't been able to come over the line and win it. And out of nowhere, they shock everyone in this tournament by winning the grand finals and taking things home and finding the qualification slot after AE Celeste had been pounding the entire year, which is even more impressive because they qualified to this final Game Changers. APAC's a little bit different than the other regions. It's not like a main event. They have what's called like APAC Elite, which is more like equivalent to like what the Challengers playoffs used to be in 2021, where it's like there's Game Changers for each region and stuff and it goes through. But they won their region's LCQ to get in. So they kind of made this kind of miracle run to go all the way and end up beating AE Celeste in the grand finals. Which is pretty cool that they finally have this opportunity. Another cool story thing with this team, Obi, their coach, was the coach of the X10 Crit roster that became, why am I not thinking of their new org names? Xerxia, yeah, sorry. That became Xerxia. So he's already coached 3 international events for a team and brought them there. He's been to Berlin twice already and is now coming with this team as well, who I think to start, I'll rate them on the spaghetti-o-meter. From a spaghetti scale from Fennel Esports to Cloud9, they're not quite Fennel, but there is a significant amount of spaghettiing. I would say there's about like a 3 to 4 like spaghetti rounds per half. I saw a good amount of spaghettiing going on, but I also saw some moments that I thought were really sick from them. I thought Baby TZ, when they were playing on their breeze, was really good with some like well-timed, like very well thought out Cypher lurks. I thought Muffin was really fantastic as an individual player, was kind of pounding against AE Celeste and looking like a really, really strong talent that could compete with the big firepowers from other teams. But I'm also seeing those spaghetti moments, which worry me heading into an international event. This is a team that I think has some potential. I think that they have some players that can push them over the line. I think they have the moments that show that they have that potential. And this Breeze match was the one that I was thinking of the most in that when they were playing here. But they also play some weirdo comps. They dedicate up to a lot of Sky and stuff and are playing like no Scout Initiator sometimes. It's just kind of weird. I don't really know what to think about this team.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with this team with Polly, the smoke. I feel like there's a lot of good controller players at this event in general. But Polly was like dunking on when they were like beating some of the other teams earlier on in the tournament. They were just dunking on them. But as it got deeper, they were not as impactful, I felt like. So I was just thinking that if they're able to play at that level a bit earlier in the tournament, later on, or rather, I mean here, just I guess generally against the top teams, if they can replicate that performance, that would probably be a key. But what were you going to say, Dan?
One of the things that I wanted to say is that for a lot of those matchups, and I think of one of the Haven, when they were playing Haven, thinking X10 played a lot of those rounds really well, but it was because, you know, Alter Ego, they were making some massive mistakes, kind of having like no map control, no mid control, and X10 was really punishing those things. But that is not really going to happen when they go against like these other Game Changers teams in Berlin. It's going to be a different story. So the punishment that they were able to do to get away with those rounds and get away with those maps, I don't think is going to be the same. I don't think it's going to compare the same. The one player it was going to be that actually really impressed me was Polly on the Astra when they were playing Pearl. There were some really good moments on the Astra. There were some really good clutches. Even it was out of nowhere, she would come out and get a bunch of kills, get 3 kills, and clutch the round for the team. But I still think there's a lot of pieces missing. Even the compositions that they like to play. I know they have on Ascend, they like to play for the extremities with the Killjoy and the Chamber.
I want to tilt about their Ascent for a second. Can I please tilt about their Ascent for a second?
Yes.
Their Ascent is actually not good. They lost 7 rounds in a row on attack because they play no dive and also no sage.
Right. The double
And like,
Then it was overtime,
they just like, I feel like weren't like splitting the map and like really struggled to adapt. Like it didn't feel like they were making many changes on that attacking side. It felt like they just got mentally owned and then they just lost the game from then on out. I don't know what the deal with these roles are. I don't know why Baby TZ goes from playing Cypher to Chamber to Sky to Neon. It's so weird, and I don't really like it. I liked Baby TZ when they were playing on the Cypher. I really didn't like the Sky on Ascent, particularly because you're sacrificing a Jet to make that happen, which I don't think is actually that valuable from what they got out of it. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. They played like a Chamber there as well, which is very strange.
Yeah.
Like they just make these really weird decisions that I don't think will work when they go to an international scale if they're playing comps like that. They also played the triple Sentinel Icebox comp, which I thought was like okay, but they're still making some of the mistakes that I don't really think play to the potential of that composition.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. Again, there's a couple of these moments where it's like, oh, they get one of these rounds where Baby TZ pounds them all, but then the next map they play just a really bad comp and struggle to adapt and just get stuck in and lose the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the slowest team in the tournament. Maybe Fennel matches that, but that's a problem. I think they have poor mechanics in comparison to the field. Some of their, like maybe one of their players is like, okay, this is fucking real shit. But I think they have good decisions. I actually think they have good decision making in general and like okay mid round calling. And I think what brings them over the edge, and I think one of the reasons why they're able to win out APAC is they have decent micro calls where, you know, a player will peek off a flash or something like that. Like they have good, that's the micro in that sense. I think game plan and comps and stuff throw them way far back, and there's just too much that they have to overcome, unfortunately. I think some of their strengths, cool, but they have a lot of weaknesses.
Gotcha. All right. Players to watch. Players to watch. This is one of those things where we all pick someone and then the little ground and Kermit little thing and it pops up. And it's
Can we start with Dan because we already know
yeah,
what she
all right.
picked?
And Dan
It's gonna be a
picked
KRÜ player.
Connier. No way.
But listen, but am I wrong? That's all I want to say. Like, am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
No.
You're not wrong.
No, not wrong.
I think you know. I think
Just expected.
it's crazy because that's just so I made a mistake. Pause. So I made a mistake. I dyed my hair a little bit brighter than I wanted to, and it kind of matches the jersey. It was not meant to be this way, but I think it works out.
Aren't you gonna be player handling for KRÜ?
So I'm gonna be
translating.
So I'm gonna be translating, and I'm gonna be doing interviews for the LATAM.
So when KRÜ beats Cloud9 white, you'll be there to translate with their
I'll be
jersey
there.
color in your hair. That's awesome.
Well, we won't see her because she'll be just merged in with the jersey color. But
well, no, the jersey's not black. Yeah, they have like it's everything is going according to plan. Anyways,
Valorant periodico, subscribe. That's awesome. I love how inaccessible the Game Changers VODs are. I feel like they're all locked in the dungeon and so hard to find. Sorry, that's a side note. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, no, they actually deleted all the VODs. When I was trying to watch 5 Power, so that was impossible. But yeah, Connier, really good player. The player that has made it the farthest in the VCT main circuit, and a player that is, you know, it's not only, you know, you say that and then she doesn't show up. She is always showing up, and she's incredibly flexible. We got to see her playing Omen twice, and now there's a meme going around that people have nightmares of the Omen because it was just insane on that ascent. Mainly a chamber player overall, so that is why I always wanted to see, since the beginning of the year, I wanted to see a duel between Mel and Connier, if that's gonna take place. But if not, you can expect her on any role that allows her to frag out and go crazy. So Race potentially on something like Bind, and maybe in other maps. I feel like they're gonna make some changes compared to what they've been playing. Really good player, really good team.
I mean, those are literally some of the best stats you will ever look at in your life. Like the
She's
KPRs
fucking
are
nuts.
ridiculous. they're genuinely ridiculous. That like, yeah, I mean that it's just beyond like top player stats that you would typically see. It's just so far beyond that.
She takes 60% of 60% of rounds she takes in opening duel from what I just saw from that. That's insane. She's a psycho.
She's so good.
Chamber moment.
And she wins them pretty much every time because she is chamber moment.
Silly chamber.
340 ACS on ACS is fake, but also playing Reyna in pro play is crazy.
The ACS isn't real.
Yeah.
It's a super fake
ACS
stat, but big
it's
number,
not-
better
it's not
player.
real. Okay. Was this the only Kunir? Bala, did you go with Kunir?
No, I didn't. I actually almost did.
Yes!
I almost did.
Let's go.
But I went with Bastarda. Is it Bastarda? How do you?
Bastarda.
Is it?
It's like you're saying bastard.
Is it
but with an
bastard?
A.
Is it just bastard though? Like, is that what her name is intended to be? Because that's fucking
Bastarda.
bad. That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I think the reason I picked her specifically is because of all the dart dashing that they do, and I think that is fucking unique, and I have never seen it done. So it's like specifically, she does a really cool thing, especially when she plays Jet. But also just the opera for this team and the the primary star, and she is really, really good. She reminds me a little bit of like CNET in a way, where it feels like she always does the right thing in terms of movement and like in the moment fighting decisions while she's playing Jet or Chamber or any of the other things that she does. It's really, really good to watch, and potentially a reason why Team Liquid could go super far. So definitely keep your eye out for like the dart dashing stuff too. Because I think actually, if you remember the game against before, when they're coming back and playing them on Ascent, and I think they go to overtime, she like literally, yeah, this round exactly. This is what I'm talking about. And they do this everywhere, right? Dashes in, specifically in that corner, right? Normally the Jet's dashing at switch, but she dashes a little bit
That's
towards
awesome.
stairs for the dart to land, and she could just get the kill completely without even seeing the person, essentially. And they do that with haunts. They do that with combinations all over the place on all sorts of different maps. So that specifically is something that's going to be really cool to see how teams deal with it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Good
sick.
player.
Pretty sick. Good choice. All right, both of you gone with non-NA cool picks. I am here to deliver the lamestream media narrative. Okay, I picked C9
I wonder if he picked
Mel.
Mel.
Yep.
Oh, we picked Mel.
I picked Mel because okay. Here's the thing. I was gonna do
Someone
something
has to do it.
cool and be like, "Oh, you guys don't know about this player," but I'm hitting you with the fucking the mainstream narrative. All right, which is just that I think up until this point, I mean, you could probably argue for like Kinnear or someone, but I think at least for the NA audience and the like NA game changer scene for sure, and possibly in the world, I think you could just say that Mel has been the best player in game changers up until this point, and now we're finally getting an international event after
She's
many
so good.
years.
That was some old Mel footage.
that was like an iconic. We're going
Yeah.
through
That was
that's
GC
like
too, I think.
her
Yeah.
fucking album of hits. Mel's
That was when
greatest
Shopify
hits
was
is right there.
Shopify was like, "Oh, we're gonna finally win. We're gonna beat Cloud9 in the grand finals," and then Mel just fucking poops
Yeah.
on them in like
Yeah,
the
that was
first
awesome.
map.
Mel is literally the face of women. Like, she's the fucking CEO of women. You cannot defeat her. Like,
Of
literally, they
women.
cannot lose. Have you ever seen somebody who embodies women more?
She is
Mel is
literally,
women.
she is the game changer.
She
Like,
changed the game.
Yeah,
She did.
yeah, and this. I mean, that again. This is Mel's greatest hits. But yeah. I mean, it's really just for that reason. Right? I mean, I think she's just been the best player in game changers up until this point. Dominant for so long. Now has a chance to prove it at LAN against all the top teams from around the world. I think if C9 White take this event and Mel has a good performance, kind of just cements herself as the player of this like pre-franchise era, So I think there's like an opportunity for like really cementing the legacy. You know what I mean? Are you guys messing with the narrative? You see what I'm trying to do here?
I'm messing with the narrative.
I fuck with the narrative.
All right,
Yep.
great. Okay, perfect.
What's with this narrative? How about a new
Mimi,
narrative?
who have you got? Or do you want to say
How about
something
a new
about Mel?
narrative?
Or do you
But
want
no,
to
I've bad just about Mel enough. I hecking love Mel. Mel is awesome. She's a very good player. She's a very good IGL. She's a very good person. Shout out to Mel. But I just disappeared for a second. That was crazy. I have picked also a lamestream media choice, and that is C9 BOB, the new player on the block. She is so fucking good. I remember I said earlier in the episode, that Kinnear has played at the highest level of any Game Changers player. And I realize that I'm capping because Bob was literally on the best team in Australia and literally won that entire region and was dominant on it back in the day. I don't know if that's directly comparable, but all good. She's fucking insane. She has played at a very high level. She almost made it into VCT main event when she was playing with Sonics. She was a huge voice in that team. Now she's coming into C9, playing in Mel's system, adding her own voice into the mix, being absurdly good as an individual, well playing Scout Initiator, well opping on Scout Initiator in like half of their maps, which is gross that she does that, but it works really well for her. And having some of the best mechanics of any of the players in Game Changers. I think Bob is going to pull up to this event and fucking dominate. She's incredibly good. She's the quietest person that I've ever met. She's super, super quiet as a person, but as a player, she's vocal. She adds a lot to the team, and she's incredibly good. And I'm so excited to watch her play online.
You're everything you're 100%. You're really giving us the fucking ESPN narratives today, maybe. Quiet off the field, but on the field they're loud.
They learn to lose. They're quiet off the field. They're loud on it. The young gun's gonna come through. The experienced players helping out in that one. Cloud9.
God.
I mean, they just gonna put it. They're gonna lay it all out on the field. This is their tournament to lose.
Lord. Okay.
Amazing.
Wait, we don't have a break this episode. We're just, yeah, I'm used to, yeah. Dude, we don't need a break. All right, power ranking time.
Power through.
It's time for the power rankings. I don't even want to. I don't even.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I've actually done my power rankings.
We don't have
already,
to do this.
So. We have to.
We have to.
Guys, we don't have to do this though.
Kurt, pull it up. We have to do it. We have to do it. Pull it up.
Before we start, do we want to make sure that we all have our Twitter DMs turned off, or do we want to just get into this?
No logo flipping this time. No logo flipping, guys. Keep the logos up, right side
up. I thought
up.
they were all flipped. I was like,
No. No logo flipping. I've learned my lesson.
All right.
We respect and love all regions.
But especially North America, the freest. All right, Cloud9,
8
number
teams to power rank. This is gonna be fucking simple.
All right, you see the pink team?
Yo, you say that now. You say that now, Bola.
I feel like Dan is going to be a bad influence on this power rank.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna be the bad influence. I can tell you that right now.
No. Okay, well, I'm going to start with some fucking honesty, some truth media for your people to listen to. Cloud9 White, number 1. I don't think anyone can argue against that.
No. Honestly, they deserve number 1, and they're so underrated by the world. The least viewed region, but they deserve number 1.
That's true.
True.
Yeah.
Not even a Cloud team. Least viewed region. That's sad.
Brewing.
So we make it easy, then we put Fennel last. Yes?
No.
Yes.
No.
What?
No. No.
Well, I mean, argue against it then.
I am. I'm against it morally. I'm against it.
Okay.
For reasons that don't have much to do with the gameplay. But I am against it. That's the important part. Guys, let's
What if
start
we
with
scribbled out
number
the
2.
8
Can we
and
do
wrote
top
like
3
1 next to
first?
it?
Yeah.
I think we should start from the bottom and go up.
No.
Sure.
Or we should start from the middle. Who do we think is the 6th
Mimi,
best
how do
team?
you build a building? You start
Shopify.
with the top. You go top down. So
Is that how you build a building?
yes. Let's start with the top.
Crew number 2.
I'm
number
okay.
2.
Crew number 2.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay
I'm
with
so
crew number
happy
2.
right now.
I'm
This
very
is everything
okay
I'm
with
dreaming
that.
about. Okay, now Liquid number 3.
How do we all just agree with this? That's fucking crazy.
That's so
man.
boring.
I was literally gonna. I had this literally written down. During power rankings, crew number 2, big argue. There's no argument happening.
Here's the
This
thing.
sucks.
It's because
Okay,
you know
wait.
why?
I'll be devil's advocate. I'll be the fucking kid in your history class that comes wearing a suit and listens to conservative talk shows all the time. I'm ready to go. I think G2 Gozen should be number 2.
No.
Why?
No.
What?
Because I'm the fucking kid in the suit.
Ew.
I think G2 Gozen should be number 2 because Europe is. I don't.
The
no,
players
I
are
can't
from
even do it.
socialist
I can't even
countries,
do it.
Mimi. Don't you hate that? You should want them.
Yeah, I do hate that. I do hate that. Give me some fucking freedom. Get crew in there. Let's go.
Let's go. Now,
Okay, I really am. I think crew in second is totally fine, totally reasonable. I think compared to even all the other teams, if you want to just look at like firepower, I think they're the one that can compete with C9 and White, just in regards to
Firepower's not at the tournament. I'm confused.
Yeah,
What?
they lost. Sorry.
Oh my god. Dude, oh, you're killing me today.
I'm on
you're
fire
killing me
today.
You're killing me.
Go.
Okay, but anyway, Cruz, find a second. Who's the who we putting? G2,
Liquid.
Liquid.
I would put.
I think you got
Guild.
options. Are we really
Guild.
writing off Guild too? Are we writing off Shopify?
Guild?
No,
Are we
Guild.
writing off
no,
Fennel?
Guild.
Yep.
Yes, we are writing off Fennel.
Haters everywhere. So, okay, hold on, Mimi. Oh, let's go in a little talking circle. Mimi, this is like when Walter White and when they were talking. You know, when they had the pillow and they were passing it around and everybody got to
When
share
he
their
says
opinion on Walter's cancer.
Walter.
That's what we're doing
Walter.
right now. Hey,
Walter.
Mimi,
not
I'm
fucking
handing you the
Walter.
talking pillow. Who do you think should be in third?
Pull your pants up, Walter.
Mimi.
I just took a
Maybe.
I took a big sip of water before this discussion. It took every ounce of willpower not to spit it everywhere.
Walter, I'm not putting G2 goes in third, Walter. I'm not gonna do it.
Who are
I'm
you putting in
putting-
third?
Who the fuck am I putting in third? Okay, I'm gonna just talk through my thoughts right now. Off top, my Eurocentric brain thinks I should put G2 goes in there. But then I watch G2 goes in's VODs, and I don't think I should put G2 goes in there.
What do you mean your
Team Liquid Brazil.
Eurocentric brain? What is
I don't know what's going on. I'm the fucking woke media. I'm an anti-truther. I don't know what's going on. I'm
okay.
gonna
Girl
stop
from
talking.
Wisconsin has the EU-centric brain.
Walla, I'm handing you the talking pillow.
Please take it
Okay.
away from me. I don't
Who
want
do you
it.
think should be in third?
I believe that Guild X should be in third, and here are the reasons why. EMEA champions. I actually do have a Eurocentric brain, and that has nothing to do with it because they just have good structure. They have really good strats. They have really good players. I think overall, full package. They didn't choke against G2, even though they could have. They came in a lower bracket. They show a lot of resilience by doing that. There's a lot to love about this team. So yeah, I think they're third. Every other team below them here, in this case, I see negatives with, except maybe like Shopify, but I also don't see crazy positives with them. But every other team, it's like a mixed bag. Like Team Liquid Brazil for me, it's a mixed bag of positives, and then also there's negatives.
Sure.
Okay.
So
I
there
think
you
that's. Listen, I'm on board with that. But wait, Dan.
Whoop.
I'm handing you the talking
pillow.
pillow.
Listen, Liquid deserves to be third. Now, I feel like when you look at the structure for G2, it doesn't look, and I know like Liquid, they've done some trolling. I know they've done some trolling, and I know like the last one was specifically really weird, like looking at the icebox and everything. But if you look at them, the consistency that they had throughout the year, the experience that they have playing on stage as well, and the experience they have overall as a core, I think that is not something that you can compare with Guild or G2. The individuals
But you
to
can't
me
say that about
feel
G2.
more solid.
Like G2's experience, I think outmatches anybody here.
Yeah. Their core 3 is uber experience on LAN.
But but then when you look at when is the core
But there-
of the five
Their
players,
other two players I will give you. Their other two players have incredibly low experience.
So yeah, because
compared
that
to
is
Brazil, or Team Liquid Brazil, who has been playing. They just are Brazil now. They have played a lot of these tournaments on LAN. They've been boot camping a lot. They've
Sorry.
done all that
Yeah.
stuff.
We took your
And-
talking. Sorry, my bad.
yeah, and
Fucking pillow.
Guys, please.
the
Talking pillow.
there's
Walt
been
Jr.,
players
shut up.
from EMEA saying the Liquid is a really, really good team. I can give you the name of the player because I'm sorry, I forget. But people that scream Liquid when they were in Europe said that Liquid is actually a team that they expect to make it really far in the tournament, maybe even top 1. So that to me means they scrim Guild, they scrim G2, and it was good. But when they scrim Liquid, they were impressed.
Grimbucks.
Grimbucks, yeah.
Fucking
Okay.
I'm
love Scrim.
gonna agree with Arton here. I actually haven't put forward an opinion yet. I see your argument for Team Liquid Brazil, but I also see the spaghetti rounds, and I see the moments where it feels like they kind of seize up and get a little trapped and don't really have the idea of how to get out sometimes in rounds, which I don't feel like I saw as much with Guild. Like I felt like they always had an idea to commit to, and I think I give a lot of that credit to like Claudia and the leadership that she brings to this team. So I want to have a lot of faith in Team Liquid Brazil, and I think that they can do similarly to what we've seen from Brazilian teams in the past, where they kind of come out swinging and show that, hey, maybe this is in some way a symptom of like mistakes we're making because we know we're better in our own region. But well, I have faith with them, and I think they're probably a top 4 team to keep in the power rankings. I think putting Guild there is reasonable. However, I also do want to bring up the idea of Shopify, because I think that for Shopify, like, they actually have some really good star power. I think Lori has been having consistently fantastic performances. I think Sandra's been really good. Adding Benita to the mix has added a ton of experience, in particular on LAN. She's been here so many times in playing these events. This is her 3rd game, by the way, that she's made it to an international LAN tournament, which is kind of cool. And I also think that KP's calling is really good at adapting to new things, which I actually think is a pretty big strength for them heading into a tournament where they're playing against teams with a lot of other styles. Even when things got kind of stagnant against Cloud9, the series before this one, where they started like actually taking maps off Cloud9 and beating them in that series, a lot of that was KP's adaptability and her making changes in her calling to be able to overcome an opponent. And I think that between her, or just her and her squad, I think there's a lot of potential for them to be really good and be a top performer in this tournament. I also think in terms of firepower, I would put them pretty much in line. I don't think they have quite the same amount of firepower as Team Liquid and Guild, but I think they're a team that is better than the sum of their parts, and I think that putting them top 4 is quite fair.
Yeah, I think we're gonna struggle with 4 to
Yeah.
6.
I feel like
5, yeah.
I feel like Shopify are actually comparable. I just keep going back to this Reykjavik comparison, but I feel like they are actually kind of comparable to like version 1 heading into this event. Kind of in regard to like individual player skill, but where they then also where they stack up as an NA team versus the teams from
I
the
actually
other
think that makes a lot of sense. You know,
I
they're
actually
kind of
feel like
the
they're-
second place NA team. You don't have the highest expectations for them. They have an IGL that they lean a lot on for adaptability. They have kind of, I think that's a very apt comparison.
Thank you. I'm very smart. We should. Well, I'm okay. I am good with Guild in 3rd personally. I also agree with Balla.
And I guess we've been overruled, so I guess Guild does take that spot. But I think now the question is, do we want Shopify or do we want Team Liquid for number
Or
4?
G2.
Or will someone make an argument for Gozen?
Or Fennel.
Uh,
Or X10 Sapphire. Oh, guys. Any Fennel enjoyers? Yeah, this
Fennel,
is
I mean,
this is a
pretty
tough
good
one here.
face.
I don't.
Yeah, this is the tough one, and I think for most people who even just tune in right now, like be like, what the fuck, Brazil or Liquid is so underrated, Gozen so underrated, and that shit. I think something that Dan you said, Liquid deserves to be like in a sort of like ranking of the team's performance over over time. Definitely deserves to be higher, but and maybe this is just me not having watched them enough. From what I have seen, and this is very limited of Team Liquid, I don't think they will be able to stand up to the teams ahead of them in this case. And I would put Shopify potentially there. I think that matchup specifically, I mean, talking about matchups in power rankings is kind of silly, but that matchup is a close one. I think Liquid's ceiling is higher than Shopify. Like how they played in the last 3 games, obviously the games that they won in that grand final against B4, changed my mind completely about them, because before those, I was thinking, wow, this team is like, honestly, this is surprising. They seem way worse than the B4 Angels that they were playing before that. And then the other 3 games happened. I'm like, okay, how do I reconcile that? And for me, it's tough to put them as high as that potential when I see so much of that negative part
I
where
don't
they
know
can
if this is
spiral
like
out of control.
the way that I see it, honestly, it's similar to the way that I see KRÜ when they went against 9Z, where it was uncharacteristically bad for that matchup, specifically for those maps that they played early on.
Mhm.
Because when you look at the performance and the consistency that they had throughout the year for all the other matches, that was just a really weird match. So that is kind of the way that I see it. Plus, knowing the fact that everyone, including all the other teams that Liquid went against, they were always trying to counter them. And that was, I mean, I feel like if that is how the scene is revolving in Brazil, where the top team is getting counter and everybody wants to shut them down in any way possible, it really shows kind of the level of dominance that they had.
Sure.
And that's, I can see Liquid 4 or 5. I don't see Shopify before them.
I'm going to be recency bias Randall here. Again, I've only watched Liquid's games from this most recent tournament, but I didn't feel like what was happening to them against like B4 Angels, for example, in that grand final was them being counter-stratted. I felt more that was a lot of like team struggling to adapt and individual mistakes that led to those matchups slipping away from them. And obviously they corrected it in the BO5 and they came back to win it. But those Icebox and Bind games were pretty brutal. They were really making the same mistakes, it felt, over and over again and really struggling to break their way out of it. And that for me is a big warning sign because I think having that adaptability and kind of being able to like break yourself out of that rut when you're playing against a team that is going to pound you is going to be a very important facet at this tournament. And I think we saw that that consistency with Guild to be able to make those changes in a way. I think we saw that in part with Shopify, but there's also the argument that they got pounded. Like this most recent tournament for them, is if I argue against Shopify for a second, was probably their worst Game Changers tournament in quite a while. They lost a match in the final. They still made it to the finals, but they played closer games than ever before. And I think a big part of that is because the gap in North America in terms of team quality really closed with teams like Misfits stepping up. So in a way, it's impressive that they stay on top and still make the grand final and still make that competitive. But also they got fucking slapped by Cloud9. And I don't know if I want to put that as like a positive or a negative for them, but
I mean, compare it to how different that matchup was to past, right? In my mind, Shopify actually took a step back this tournament. Yeah, they made it to the grand finals, but overall, they lost a matchup against another team. They struggled against Misfits. They struggled earlier in the tournament as well. I forgot against who. Like it wasn't as good and as clean as some of the other ones. So yeah, I'm totally on board with them not being all the way up here. I think my proposal, unless Wyatt, you have
no. I was just agreeing with that with
my
the
proposal
Shopify.
here is Liquid, Liquid G2 Shopify.
I can get behind that.
I can actually get behind that as well.
And
Yeah,
then I think X10
at the
Fennel.
beginning I had Shopify higher in my mind, but when you outline everything, yeah, they definitely. I think it's just because they're not going into this event at their peak. So it's hard to feel super confident about their placement, though I don't think it's unreasonable at all that they could beat a bunch of the teams we have ahead of them if they're
I do want to say
if they're in form that we've seen them in previously. But heading into it, they're definitely not in a super exciting state.
I also do want to temper like the fact that they did like maybe a little bit more poor than regular is also just a testament to how good NA Game Changers got in the last time, right? Because Misfits, while they were like a new team, this is the first time they made it to the main event and stuff like that. They were really good, and the entire region got better. But I also think Shopify took a little peg down.
Yeah,
just slightly though.
I agree with this tier list. I think for the lines, for the tier breaks, I think Cloud9 is a tier break from KRÜ. I think that also, I think there's a tier break between Shopify and X10. No! And I also think there's a tier break between Shopify and X10. I'm considering a tier break between X10 and Fennel.
Maybe.
But no, I don't.
I think this is enough.
This is where being real goes wrong. God, don't do it.
That was a bad idea. I didn't
don't
actually think
listen
that.
to this
I didn't actually
temptress.
think that.
Fennel fans are getting excited. We're cursing their team and they're gonna win. They're gonna pull off a big upset.
Yeah.
There's a tendency. Remember when we
You know what? Fuck it. Flip their logo. Curse them completely.
Paula, what the hell is wrong with you?
But it's the best possible thing for the fan base. It's the best possible thing. Flip the logo.
No, I'm not flipping anyone's logo ever again.
Make it big.
Don't do it.
Flip the logo.
No, I'll flip your camera if you want.
Yeah, we could have an upside down ball. Make him look like 50
Ball
Cent at
upside
the
down?
Super Bowl.
What's he
Just
doing?
hanging on the ceiling all the time. That'd be pretty sick. I'd be down. I'm okay. I think this is honestly. I think this is one of our better power rankings, guys.
Point
I
of
This
say
is
that
gonna be the
after-
best
when it's
power
complete.
ranking you
order.
guys had.
Talking
pillow. Can we for excitement and just general like, let's not kill the hype and put a tier break between Cloud9, Wyatt, and KRÜ. Let's put it a little lower, or maybe like make the line smaller, something like that. Make it look like there's a challenge. Something, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Talking Pillow's gone.
That's good.
Yep, that's exactly what it needed. Yeah, perfect.
Everything is good now.
I'm kind of comfortable with this, which means it's just not going to happen. But I think that this was. I think the
I
talking.
feel better
honestly,
about
I
this
think
than most of the
talking
other ones
pillow
we've
helps.
done.
Yeah, the talking.
Sorry,
pillow.
I didn't have the talking pillow there. What?
It's okay. Maybe that's okay. But I think the talking pillow honestly helped.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about this one. I think this is a pretty good change for us.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool power
I
ranking.
don't have
just
a
in
pillow
general.
next to
like,
me,
it's
so-
like,
You have a stuffed animal or something? Anything soft will do.
It's kind of far. Oh,
Go get it.
I ain't got.
You
have
got some
legs?
I got
squishmallows or
nothing.
something.
dude,
I got nothing.
I mean, I haven't seen you since Champions. Maybe you've lost your legs
I got-
since then. I don't know. I'm not going to infer.
I know. I got the spike.
oh, we're fucked.
Holy shit! It's the spike.
Oh no.
The spike from Valorant?
Yeah.
All right,
Are we going to do pickups? Is that a thing we're doing?
we can.
Bird just said no.
It's
I mean, I
Okay.
was gonna do. We were gonna do pick'ems, but Ball was like, power rankings are better. I'm like, okay.
Want to do a
What if we
pick'em
just
too?
did first round? I think we should do just first round.
Want to do
round
first round
pick'em?
Yes,
pick'em
let's
for
go.
fun?
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do
This
it.
is the game
For
changers
funsies,
episode.
for the cultures. It's a shorter episode. Let's have some fun. Smile.
It's 3:12. We've already gone for 2.5
Yeah, it's
hours.
Oh,
what
have we?
What are you talking about?
Oh,
It's a
okay,
normal
never
length,
mind.
very standard episode. But yeah, we can.
And we're
We
not
don't have
done
to do it
yet.
then.
I think we can do the pick. I think we can do these pick'ems.
I think the
in
first round is
reasonable
very
time.
reasonable.
Cloud9 and KRÜ are playing right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banger.
And
That's
Cloud9 win.
that's the first match of the tournament, by the way, which is banger. But also,
Cloud9
that
win.
sucks for KRÜ that they get seeded against Cloud9 first.
I just knew it, man. I just knew that was gonna happen. I woke up. I knew the bracket was gonna come out that day, and I just woke up and I was like.
But
yeah.
also,
That's exactly
imagine
what
the
I
hype
Imagine?
if they beat
Oh, wait.
Cloud9.
Holy
Actually,
fuck.
you know what? No, KRÜ are winning because this is going to be one of those crazy.
Yeah.
Like they win,
It's
and
like
then Cloud9
Optic
are
in the
going to run
first
it
match.
all over and win.
KRÜ is in Berlin at Champions again. It's fucking happening. It's happening
Dude,
against an NA team.
This is true.
For all,
This is true.
just for some kind of wacky narrative, I feel like I'm going to go with KRÜ. This has nothing to do with anything but an imaginary
I'm
narrative
so
where Cloud9
happy.
go into the lower bracket to add intrigue to the tournament. And then
Okay,
they
yeah,
run
let's
it all
let's
the
go
way
for the
through and win.
intrigue pick'ems.
Definitely
Those
big
in should win that.
G2 win. Yep.
Mhm.
I'm going Guild.
Okay, yeah,
KRÜ
sure.
wins against G2.
Team Liquid.
Team Liquid.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's just go all the way. Let's just send it.
KRÜ.
KRÜ.
Yeah. Intrigue. We're just intrigue.
Guild.
I think Guild here.
Yeah.
Guild.
I actually think Guild, and then Team Liquid go a lower bracket run.
KRÜ
Well.
goes all the way,
Oh,
but let's
fuck,
go lower.
they have to-
bracket.
oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
they're not going
Can't
on a
happen.
run,
No.
unfortunately.
They're not going
All
on
right,
a
Team
run.
Liquid win in the upper bracket against.
Yeah. Liquid win and
Wait,
that makes it.
Wait, then Guild has
you
to lose.
changed it just because Team Liquid couldn't go on a lower bracket run.
Yes. What?
Sure.
Say some. Say some. That's what I
Nah,
thought.
I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right, Cloud9.
Do your
On
thing.
9. Yep.
Do
Mhm.
your thing. bro.
Shopify for the
Shopify
fucking,
for the upset
yeah.
for like the
And then
NA2
Cloud9
seed
went
storyline.
Shopify again. Let's go.
Oh, that would be awesome. Cloud9 wins.
Yep.
KRÜ wins. Cloud9. Cloud9.
Great.
That's awesome.
Wait,
I love that.
I don't like the last
Dude,
part.
this bracket would actually be a fucking banger. We get fucking we start off with probably our two highest rated teams of the
This
tournament
is the
playing in an
Plat
opening
chat
match.
script.
We get an upper final of like the LATAM rivalry of LATAM versus Brazil. That's awesome.
And KRÜ
we
never
get a,
loses to Brazilian teams.
we get
is
a
also-
grand final rematch of Cloud9 versus KRÜ.
the first match.
We get Shopify versus Cloud9 on LAN. Like this is lit.
Dude, imagine this is how we maximize viewership as well, I think. I feel like we've
No,
cracked.
no,
the
no, no,
code
no,
to
no, no, no,
extract
no,
the
no, no.
viewers.
Then Fennel beat
Shopify,
Shopify.
That
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
No. That's
Yeah,
not gonna.
No.
I mean, that would max out viewership.
If Fennel does that, what will I do? What's something absurd, but not too absurd, that I would do?
You would go to
Ice
Japan.
bucket challenge.
I would go to Japan.
Ice bucket challenge.
I'll do an ice bucket challenge.
Let's raise awareness for ALS.
Okay, I'll raise awareness for ALS in the year 2022 if Fennel makes a lower bracket run to the lower final. Okay? I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. I'll record it too. I'll do it in Berlin. It's gonna be fucking November in Berlin.
I'm glad you're gonna record it. I thought you were gonna do it without recording it.
I would just tweet, guys, I did it. Guys, I did it. Trust me.
Oh my god! All right.
Good pickems, guys. Good work, people.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like
great
that. Actually, I
pictures,
really like developing the Plat script. Like that's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, are we doing this?
Drama Monday? Is it Drama Monday?
There's drama
Wait,
in the
drama?
breaking news.
Drama?
It's
Am I the
Wednesday.
drama?
No, it's Monday. It's Drama Monday.
Okay. Sorry, I was looking at see if anybody did the ice bucket challenge recently, and no one has. So
That's shocking.
yeah,
Oh,
these
my
are our
phone.
Guys, we
Pickems.
forgot about ALS. It's like your boy Dre on Reyna. We forgot about it.
Y'all forgot
You're not
about
old enough,
Dre.
Mimi. You're not old enough. You can't be making jokes like that. Come
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Okay.
Should Riot have invested in a bigger venue for Game Changers? Is the second line? I mean, this is the last topic. But I mean, the topic is the question. Mimi, take it away.
Oh, why do I have to start? I'm a paid Riot Games shill. I love Riot Games. Fuck.
I love Riot Games.
Okay, here's my take. I think that. What is my take? I'm developing my take.
So wait,
as we
sorry.
speak.
What's the problem here? I'm confused. It's
Okay,
it's
so
hosted
there's
in the LEC
only
studio?
174 seats in the LEC studio, which people are disappointed by because the tickets sold out almost immediately, and people are a little bit sad that more tickets weren't available and that this wasn't the scale of like a Masters or Champions events with like thousands of
Okay.
tickets in a proper arena. People in the community have gotten a little bit sad about this. Some of the G2 players have been tweeting out about the size of this. This one from Giuliano, please larger venue for GC. It resonated with a lot of people, and people started like doing things like offering to pay. Like the Average Jonas tweeted that he would pay for a bigger venue. I would like to help sponsor it. I think Jesco did, and it's like, and a couple other people as well were tweeting
sorry,
things like this.
What?
Which is
Who-
crazy.
You guys are gonna pay for a bigger venue? I'm sorry. What does that mean? You guys, how much does a venue cost to you guys?
Like venues are like
Bro,
hundreds
like-
of thousands of dollars a day.
Like $3,000 a day or something, right?
Like, let me
Probably
just
to
pay
rent
for
out a stadium.
I mean, okay. Aside from that, though, like, okay, yeah, I get the problem. Okay, it probably should have had a bigger venue, but I also this is the first international LAN for Game Changers. Budgets get chosen, and I'm not just doing this to shill because I also am a paid Riot shill, but this stuff gets decided. It's an unproven product. Let's see how it goes, and then let's continue to boost this and make this a fucking awesome product. And then we
And-
can have the big stadiums.
They're already investing a lot into it. Like we talked about, like we saw the music video and stuff. They've
Yeah.
put $500,000 into a prize pool pot. And there is an audience, which I thought there wouldn't be an audience for this show. So I'm thankful that there is one. I think that's cool. And there's an audience for the entire run. It's not just playoffs. There's tickets being sold every single day of this event that people can come to. And I think it's probably something where, yeah, it got said at the beginning. They didn't know how interested people would be. And now I think this proves that people are super interested in Game Changers. It's something that going into next year, they can dedicate more to selling sponsors or whatever they need to do on this to put the budget in to pay for a proper arena in the future. But I don't think it's bad that it's in the LEC studio. This is a proving grounds. Our first year of Valorant events were in empty venues. So this is an upgrade from this. It's going to be something. It's going to be cool. I think the LEC studio is a very reasonable choice. I also wish there was more people coming. That would have been awesome. But I think it's totally reasonable that Riot didn't book a venue. Venues are absurdly expensive. Like you said, Art, and I'm sure the budget was set a long time ago. I think this is fine.
And also, like, Game Changes in general so far, while it's been successful in generating press and whatnot, the viewership has not necessarily
I mean, if
been
you
there
compare
to
the
support.
NA viewership to like the NA Challenger stuff, just as an example, like nothing has touched it yet. They have no idea how big this is going to be. So
Right. And
Yeah.
and without events like these, you can't really see the potential yet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and-
I think you just let it grow over the years because this is the first international event for Game Changers, right? So I feel like a lot of the things that people are complaining about, Riot is taken into account, like the venue size, the fact that there's only 8 teams. Like, it's cool because you're gonna see it scale throughout the years because of how much Riot is investing in the product.
yeah, that's cool too. I will say though, it's to be a little critical. I think Riot in general has been really sheepish on Valorant over since the start, and I think anybody who's watching from the outside can tell that this sport is going to be fucking huge down the line, right? And you've seen, I mean, the Copenhagen venue, for example. Like, come on, this Game Changers
That's
venue.
what I was
There's a lot of
gonna
times
say,
where it's just
yeah.
like consistently like, come on, guys, like let's
Right.
well, let's make this a focus. Let's make this a tier 1. Let's make this like as much as you're focusing on League of Legends, rather than being like, is it gonna do something? Who knows? Let's see. You know, that's
Yeah.
I'm
that
hopeful
sort of
next year will be that. I actually have a lot of faith that it's going to be, especially with how crazy Brazilian fans are. I'm hopeful Sao Paulo will be a bigger venue, and I'm hopeful that Game Changers will be next year as well. I agree. They've been a little slow to give us bigger and bigger stuff. Like, I think going from like 3K at Copenhagen to 4.5 at Istanbul, I think they could have gone bigger with that show, but it's fine. It's the first year. Things are going to get bigger. More and more fans are coming into this game. This is this is a trial year. The first year of every esport is kind of weird. Like, Overwatch League was fucking weird in that they like blitz scaled and tried to like inject a giant esport when they didn't have one. And I think letting things organically grow makes more sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many seats were there at Copenhagen? It was 3K.
3K and then 4.5 at Istanbul, if I recall.
Right, and at Copenhagen, they definitely, I don't think they didn't sell all the seats for
Only
multiple
on the
days.
final day.
So that's
did
more,
they?
yeah. So my thought would just be, okay, first of all, you're hosting the event in EU, not the best space for Valorant necessarily, with bringing out Valorant fans. And then how do you compare the viewership specifically in that region for Game Changers to just the wider scene in general, and then also comparing the viewership overall? Yeah, I mean, I think it just makes sense to start small, especially when you're hosting an event in EU, which is just not that's just not the location to bring out tons of Valorant fans, at least as evidenced by Copenhagen. So I can understand why they would want to start with something smaller scale, kind of, little temperature check, see what the interest level is. Because Mimi, did you say they're selling seats for every day? 170.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so
At
like
least
if
that's what I've
that's,
heard
I mean,
from
if that's
sources.
just full every day, or even the majority of the days, like that, and obviously we'll see what the viewership is like, but I imagine it'll be pretty strong given how good the viewership has been for non-NA and EU regions. That they want a little temperature check, and then it'll grow from there moving forward. But I think it's probably extremely hard to gauge the interest levels and how that'll transfer to actually selling tickets, and especially so in EU, because EU is just not the like Valorant is just not a super heavy hitting game in that region. So I think it makes sense that they start small, see what's up, go from there. I think that's pretty reasonable. And listen, if you want to see it, if you want to see there be more seats available and more people in those seats at these events at bigger venues, just watch and tweet about it and support the event online. And then in the future, they'll create more availability for it,
Thanks.
Dude, we're
So-
gonna
I mean,
be
I think
there,
even
and
the
it's gonna be a
backlash of-
banger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Knort's
Tune
gonna be
in.
there. Mimi's gonna be there. Dan's
Yes.
gonna be there. I'm gonna be right here doing my thing, chilling. And so is Ball, chilling. Ball,
You're
you're
going to Seth's
co-streaming,
wedding,
right?
Bola?
Plug.
No, I'm not going to Seth's wedding now.
You're gonna stream though, right? Ball.
Yeah, I'll be streaming.
Plug. Tune in.
Let's go.
Twitch.tv/BallaTW for the
Watch
watch
the
party.
Ball at TW or White River co-stream. I don't know if either of you have rights. watch it.
Ball
Or
does.
watch,
I don't
actually,
know.
no,
Did I
fuck.
just
I should
leak
be
that?
chilling for the main broadcast.
Yeah, you leaked it, but it's all good.
Oh no! Now the
What are we gonna do?
Oh no! I guess they have to
no.
tune in. Oh no! Damn. All right, weekly award time.
Yes.
Dude, it's so dark in here. I can't see anything. What is that glowing? Oh, it's Wyatt's weekly award. All right.
Please rub the lamp. Please rub the lamp. I want to see what comes out. Is this where Bren is hidden? Where is
No.
Bren?
Bren is on a flight to Korea, and I think Bren. Also, I'm just plugging everyone's streams, but I think did Bren get that streaming backpack
He did,
in time?
yeah.
Yeah. So Bren is in Korea, and he's gonna stream Seth's wedding. I don't know if he's gonna do that, but he's definitely gonna stream with his
Co-streaming
backpack.
Seth's wedding.
Actual,
That's
like,
awesome.
Oh,
Jake and Bake
fuck.
roleplay. Okay. Anyway,
Is Jake and Bake that fucking guy at Copenhagen that was just walking around filming shit with the weird backpack? What was that guy?
He's,
What
he's
was
an
that
IRL
guy,
streamer. What do you
human?
mean?
He's like one of the OG IRL streamers.
yeah.
His stream's pretty great. I would recommend watching it.
I mean, I was.
Anyway, Jake and Bake is not getting the
Okay.
weekly award. Neither is Bren. Okay.
Oh,
and
shit.
you know what? I thought about giving it to you, Mimi, but like the esports awards.
Awards are
Dude,
fake.
yeah, true.
Except for the Wyatt's Weekly Award. That award is real.
This is
It
the
was
only
fake for a while. Actually.
This is the only down to earth real award. Yeah, except for when.
Except for
Dust
that one
bought it
time that Dust bought it for one gifted sub. That was a little fake.
Yeah, that one was okay. So this week's weekly award. This week, I'm gonna give it to Magnum because he got free ice cream, and I think that's a gigantic W if you ask me. Just for having the name. So for that weekly award, free ice cream. Congratulations, Magnum. So.
Yay! I want free ice cream too. Please.
Oh, they're gonna
Magnum.
send it to him.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
This thread is hilarious. What?
It's pretty silly. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back for episode 113 on the 30th. Because, again,
Yay!
if you missed it earlier for some reason, but you're hearing it now, we're taking a few weeks off because a bunch of people going to Game Changers Championships to work on the event. A bunch of people going for Seth's wedding in Korea. So, no Plat chat until the 30th, and then we'll be back for episode 113. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to drop a comment below on
Who's your player to watch for Game Changers that we didn't talk about? Who are we forgetting? Who are we sleeping on?
And what's your favorite ice cream?
Oh, I like that. Oh, that was a good one, Bala. I like that one. All right.
That's a really good
Make sure
one.
to leave your little comments with your little mechanical keyboards and
Make sure you put a
Red
pillow emoji next to it
Cherry
so we know you
Reds.
have the talking pillow so we know that you're allowed to talk.
we're getting so many instructions. Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
Bye, Plat Chat Nation.
See you guys for tea.
Bye.